Hello and welcome everybody to the November 9th, 2020 public hearing of the Planning Commission on City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendments. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. To minimize feedback in the audio, all participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners who are virtual should raise their hand in WebEx to indicate that they would like to speak. You can also send a chat to Melissa if you would prefer to be recognized that way. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. You will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has any difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for the local government hearing, please email them to sandy@plancom.com. It's SANDY@PLANCOM.org. For those of you who are not familiar with our process, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chairman. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will then ask questions. Public comment will be closed, and upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. I would again in this meeting ask the clerk to please call the roll of the commissioners here and then follow that with the commissioners virtually. And please go on ahead and call roll. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Appearing in person,
Here.
Commissioner Bernstein.
Here.
Thank you. Cardenas.
Here.
Dix.
Here.
Howdy.
Here.
Marina.
Here.
Powell.
Here.
Appearing virtually, Green.
Here at home.
Thank you. Crest. Commissioner Crest. Dickerson.
Renee came in sitting in for Dickerson.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, the first item up for business is TACPA 20-21, Future Land Use Map Amendment, and it will be presented by Jennifer Malone.
Jennifer Malone with your Planning Commission. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. This is Plan Amendment 2021, otherwise known as CSX Right-of-Way. It's within the Central Tampa Planning District, and a portion of it is located within the West Tampa Urban Village. It is located east of North Willow Avenue and south of West Cass Street, kind of abutting the University of Tampa to its east and north of Kennedy Boulevard. This is site pictures of the area. This is at the intersection of West Carmen Street and North Delaware Avenue. For apparent reasons, I was not able to get onto the subject site, but the subject site is through that gate right there. Here's another view of the subject site facing east towards the University of Tampa. Bear with me for just a moment. Reshare my screen. I think I was having technical difficulties, but just a moment, please. Okay, can everybody still see the power?
Yes.
Okay. And then it is a privately initiated amendment. It is small scale, about 3.87 acres. From general mixed use 24, urban mixed use 60, public semi-public to the urban mixed use 60 future land use designation. This is the adopted future land use map. The subject site has 3 future land use designations: the public semi-public, the urban mixed use 60 and the general mixed use 24. The public semi-public also continues. It is most notably in the area within the University of Tampa. There's also regional mixed use 100 to the north. This is at the intersection of North Boulevard and West Cass Street, and a little bit of the regional mixed use 100 to the south along West Community Boulevard. And then this proposal would take the entire subject site to the urban mixed use 60 future land use designation. This would increase the potential dwelling units from about 130 to about 240. It would also increase the square footage from about 350 square feet, 315,000 to 570,000 square feet for the subject site. So the in short, it would amend the entire site to a unified future land use designation. So that way they could develop without a public use. The City of Tampa Mobility Department and the Transportation Planning Department have both submitted objections to this request, and those are included in the packet. The Hillsborough County School Board did identify that some of the schools do not currently have adequate capacity. I also received updated comments from the MPO just before I begin this presentation. So at the end of my presentation, I will read into the record some of the updated comments. Staff did find this consistent with the comprehensive plan objectives and policies. Historically, this parcel was utilized as a rail yard, so thus it is wider to accommodate that space for sorting, loading, and unloading, and infrastructure storage. As I'm sure this commission is aware, this area has really shifted towards multifamily and mixed use within the past decade or so as the University of Tampa grows. The shift is supported by the comprehensive plan to support the University of Tampa as an economic engine of the city. Further, the plan supports a compact city form strategy. This is less than a mile away from the central business district, so that does put it within proximity to transit and employment services. The plan also supports designating enough land for housing to meet Tampa's growing population, as well as encouraging new housing on vacant or underutilized land, and this would promote redevelopment of the subject site if the entire subject site has that one future land use designation. So the Planning Commission staff did find this consistent with the comprehensive plan, and I'm going to now read into the record the comments from the MPO that state that the long-range transportation plan, the LRTP, does identify a major project in this area in the future. It has been identified for a high-performing rapid transit project in the 2045 LRTP cost feasibility plan. So on pages 52 to 53 of that plan, it highlights the opportunity to reuse CSX tracks for passenger transportation. There's funding set aside for this fixed guideway transit. Funding is shown on page 51 is currently tied up in court. Expressed intent of this adopted plan to negotiate with CSX for shared use of the CSX freight rail corridors, including the one which is illustrated on the map. And that is a summarization of the updated comments we received. And we will certainly be passing those on to the planning commissioners at a later date. And I also received some citizen comments that were emailed to the planning commissioners as well. So that does conclude my presentation on this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have 2 names on the list for public comment. I will start with Justin Dalton, I have on the list.
I apologize, but I think we were mixed up with 2032. The addresses are right beside of each other. And I think I am not for 2021, but for 2032, I apologize.
Try to come back to you. All right, I have a Jonathan Arellano.
Actually, I'm going to echo Justin's comments. I got mixed up as well. I am for 2032.
All right. How about Janice Kelly?
Janice Kelly did not call in.
All righty. Well, that ends the list of individuals that I have for public comment. I just want to check with HTV and Melissa also.
We do have also Joshua Haddad and John Davis.
Joshua Haddad. I will start with him.
Yeah, same issue. We were advised of the wrong number. It's 2032.
And who is the other individual? HTV, I didn't catch the last one.
That will be John Davis.
Davis, please go ahead. If you're
I also meant to do 2032. My apologies.
all right. All righty. So that ends the list of individuals we have in the public comment. I will open it.
Commissioner Joseph, we need to have the applicant's presentation.
Sorry, I thought there wasn't one. My apologies. The applicant, please go ahead.
This is Brian Sykes. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, perfect. I'm gonna drop my video for a second. I'm gonna start sharing my screen, just making sure everyone is still. And of course, that's not working the way it should be. Hold on one second. I am not sure. Well, that's not working the way I wanted it to. So let's try this again. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of walk through some comments, and I will bring things up on my screen as we get to it. Appreciate staff's time and their report. Jennifer, you did a very good job on this. This is somewhat of an unusual project in that we are taking what is today unutilized, underutilized land and proposing a future redevelopment for it. The subject parcel, as Jennifer acknowledged, has 3 current land use designations. It has GMU 24, UMU 60, and public quasi-public or public semi-public designations. The UMU 60 designation takes up a majority of that strip that is the railroad right-of-way. And let me see if I can bring up the see if this will share now. I'm sorry, this might be a little bit better this time. There we go. Everyone can see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, let me just go to my shared screen so I'm Boy, this is just like technical difficulty day. I'm sorry. Well, let's try it. So as I was mentioning, there are 3, can everyone see the screen that's up now, or is it? Okay, so you can see in there the UMU 60, the public quasi-public, and the GMU 24. The public portion of it is a thin strip that's indicated on this by yellow that runs on the east side of the parcel. The line, the delineation line between the various land uses and the public quasi-public is just over the line of the railroad tracks where we have created this parcel. Just so everyone knows, and to kind of put this perspective up front, the parcel itself is about 3.87 acres, and it does not, and I want to emphasize that, it does not include any of the railroad right-of-way. The current surrounding land uses are all consistent with what we are proposing. As noted earlier, the majority of this parcel has the UMU 60 land use designation. The southern tip of it has GMU 24, and the eastern portion of it has a public quasi-public. As you can see from this exhibit, All of the dark purple is UMU 60. The lighter purple is the GMU 24. So we meet the requirements that we're directly adjacent to and connecting with a similar proposed land use designation. The general area trends have been for redevelopment of industrial warehouse properties to multifamily residential, student housing, public university uses, and mixed use. There's been several plan amendments over the last several years, both large and small, that have occurred in immediate vicinity. And most of the changes have increased the allowable density, such as changing from GMU 24 to RMU 100, GMU 24 to UMU 60, R20, R35, and GMU 24 to UMU 60, and NMU, CMU 35. There has been some loss of density with university-sponsored plan amendments, which are to the south of this property. And this next slide will kind of show you what the recent plan amendments have been. The S is the subject property, which is our strip. Number 1 is the plan amendment CPA 1816, which is the university-sponsored plan amendment. And then you can look at the rest of them. You can see where they have changed densities upwards, anywhere from RMU 100 to mainly UMU 60 that's adjacent along this property. The next slide shows a better depiction of what our property actually is, and this is the boundary survey. I'm bringing this up first just as kind of a show of the overall property. This is a typical section, and you can see that the railroad tracks are outside of the property boundary. There's been sufficient right-of-way left for the railway, as CSX intends to continue using it, and it would be available for continued use in the future should the city, county, and or whatever transportation and mobility department came up with an agreement with CSX want to use it, it would still be available for use. Here's an aerial view of what it looks like. Again, you can see we had to create a new discrete parcel and parcel identification number for this property because it was part of a larger single parcel ID that encompassed acres and acres and acres of land, a majority, if you will, of CSX's properties in the Tampa Bay area. The aerial, you can see the railroad tracks are clearly within 199-295. The property that we are seeking this plan amendment for is 199-295.0010. As I noted before, there'll be no effect on the railway operations. The boundary is 25 feet from the center line of the railroad. The railway will continue operating, and it's going to be making use of what is today used for dumping trash, mattresses, and in general, just not a very pretty site. I just wanted to highlight a couple of the policies that Jennifer and staff had highlighted in their staff report with respect to consistency. So I noted at the beginning, this is kind of the consummate or quintessential redevelopment project. And there's several policies in the comprehensive plan that encourage these types of developments. Land use policy 2.1.1 to encourage compact, higher density development that's compatible with its surrounding character. Land use policy 2.1.2, use limited land resources more efficiently and pursue development pattern that is more economically sound by encouraging infill development on vacant and underutilized land. Land use policy objective 9.8, provide for the concentration of housing in areas where public transit and local services are conveniently available and accessible. And the housing objective is to encourage new housing on vacant, infill, or underutilized land. A summary of our request. This request will unify what's currently a fragmented land use designations on a parcel. The subject property is currently underutilized, and this will allow for us to move forward with a unique and innovative infill redevelopment opportunity. It will preserve and keep the accessibility and usability of the CSX railway, and it's consistent with all of the adjacent properties and current development trends in the area. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. All right. Re-looking at public comment now with my updated list. I see that we have Janice Kelly signed up to speak on this item. Still with us?
Ms. Kelly has not called in.
Okay, all right. Looks like that was the only person we had signed up for this one, so I will open it up to the commissioners for comments or questions on this item. Commissioner Marino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about the city's opposition or the city staff opposition. I'm looking at page 47 of our handout. So the first question will be if there's city staff online or if Ms. Malone can answer.
The city to speak on that.
Yes, this is Frank Hall with the city's Development and Growth Management Department. And excuse me. Yes, you're correct, commissioners. The city, we routed for review and received objections. As you've seen in your report, the staff does not support and objects to CPA 20-21 plan amendment. Basically, for a number of reasons. We'll break them out. Location. Excuse me, the location in the future rail corridor and the plan amendment is not consistent with the City of Tampa's comprehensive plan for the following objective and policies. Policy 3.6.2, which is preserve the opportunity for future multimodal and high-speed rail. Policy 3.1.8, which is to coordinate with HART and other public transit providers. Policy 3.1.9, which is a right-of-way based on primary transit corridors, and Objective 3.2, which is to coordinate with Hillsborough MPO and HART and FDOT.
Okay, so follow up. Thank you, Mr. Hall, for that. Kind of going through that. So the applicant has said, there's this piece, and then there's the existing actual railroad, the physical railroad that's there. Do you know how wide the right-of-way is of that existing, that current railroad? Because I think in one of the slides they say that they would be 25 feet from the center line of the railroad. So would the remaining right-of-way of that railroad be 50 feet?
I'd have to check on that for you. I do not have that information right in front of me, but I will get that to you.
So then to keep following up on this line of thinking, about how many, I've done my own research on this, but could you tell me kind of about how much width of right-of-way would you need in order to have a double track facility in that area? And this is related to 1A of your objection of having a commuter rail, especially because those are larger vehicles, about how much right-of-way would be necessary to be able to actually use that corridor for rail.
I do not have those dimensions. I can get all that information to you. I don't want to give you poor information.
Okay, thanks. And then I have just one more. Sorry, thanks. For the applicant, so you intend to develop this as actually put structures on this then. So you do mention though in one of the slides that you would work with the city. I guess can you explain that? I mean, is this meant to be a transit-oriented development where you would maintain right-of-way for if there needs to be a double-track facility? I guess I'm a little confused about if the intention is to build up to the property line. How can that line really be used for any commuter service?
Commissioner, this is Brian Sykes responding again. So at this time, to our knowledge, there is no agreement between the city, county transportation, any groups involved, and CSX to allow for the joint or multi-use of this railway line. To look at this and say the city would maybe someday in the future like to be able to use this, I don't think that's an appropriate consideration. We're preserving an existing rail line that can be utilized in the future, assuming that the city and the appropriate parties get approval from CSX to use that.
Just to be clear though, that your intention is to develop this piece of property, not sort of use it as, it wouldn't be a transportation corridor. Like you're not connecting one to, from Cash Street down to Willow. This is meant to be part of a larger development.
Right. This is intended to be an infill development.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Marino. Are there any more? Commissioner Bernstein?
Yeah, maybe following up on Commissioner Marino's question, I'd like Mr. Hall perhaps first to address the comments we just heard from the applicant to the extent that this, if I understand it correctly, this property is not intended and for future purposes to be utilized for rail, which is not necessarily consistent with the objections raised by the Mobility Department. And secondly, I'm seeing a number of objections from the Mobility Department that are directed toward coordination with HART, T-BARTA, and other public transit providers. And I guess my question there is, what exactly is the city looking for in terms of such coordination, and when would they suggest it start?
Heard that question to Mr. Calvin Thornton of the Transportation Department. Division rather. He and his division have been working consistently over the years to develop a plan to work on commuter rail, and he's the one that has the most knowledge on this subject. So I refer to Mr. Calvin Thornton from the from the Transportation Division. Is he available?
I don't see him on the line.
Okay, I will get his contact information for you, and I will have him contact you with more specifics.
Was that suitable, Commissioner Bernstein? I mean,
yeah, I don't want to belabor the point, but perhaps if Mr. Hall's uncomfortable addressing that, perhaps the applicant could at least offer his perspective based on his own understanding as to the extent to which such coordination is required.
From our perspective, this is a land use amendment that we're requesting in this matter, and not a rezoning petition. At such time as we'd be coming through and requesting a rezoning of the property, which is intended to be following up with this, obviously we would have to coordinate with the city, with transportation, with mobility, with HART, with all of the folks. And there's no intention not to. It's just that we feel it's a little bit pretentious to come in and say, well, we think that we may want to use this in the future, but we don't know what it's going to be, and we haven't approached CSX on acquiring it, and we don't know how much money we have to acquire it. And that's kind of the conversation that I had with Mr. Thornton and Ms. Calloway earlier this last week, because I called up and asked, I said, let's talk about these objections. I look at it and it says preserve opportunity for future multimodal high-speed rail site. Well, it is preserving the opportunity. We're not saying the railway is getting shut down. There'll be at least 50 foot of right-of-way there to continue the operation of those tracks. I've heard people mention, do we bring in a second rail line? Well, to do that, they're going to have to get CSX's approval, which to my knowledge, they don't have at this point in time. Thirdly, looking at where this line comes out of downtown and then takes a southwesterly track down towards McDill. Now, everything I've read in the transportation and mobility plans indicate that we're looking to connect downtown to West Shore, which is going to be more of a lateral westerly track line. So that's either going to be running on 275. It's going to be running along Cypress Street or Cass Street. It's not going to be running in the direction that these tracks are going currently. But to answer Commissioner, we absolutely, with all intention, will be working with the city and the transportation staff and mobility staff.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes. And Mr. Hall, I would only add, I recognize you have to check with others in the department, but if it's the city's intent to essentially hold this in abeyance in perpetuity, at some point, I think it's incumbent upon the city to come forward and fill in some of the blanks that are coming up today in this questioning.
Fair enough. Yes.
Commissioner Bernstein, were there any more comments or questions? I don't see any in the room. Commissioner Green, were you trying to say something?
Yes, thank you. I have a question. Jennifer, the statement you read from the MPO, it does indicate that this corridor is on the long-range transportation plan, right? It is indicated as a potential rail corridor as part of the long-range transportation plan, right?
Let me pull up the comments again. I don't think it was so much the corridor, but possibly that the funding was set aside. If you can just bear with me for just a moment, and I have a step which was clearly a mistake, and I will open those comments up again. One moment, please. But I can certainly take another question while I'm opening these.
Well, I was actually following up on Commissioner Marino's comments about the remainder of that rail corridor that's left, the width of that corridor that could support some type of double track rail system, whether it's light rail or commuter rail or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the only track that goes down into South Tampa, the South Tampa Peninsula.
I believe so. I wouldn't say, I'm not absolutely certain though.
And to respond, the information provided by the MPO was that what DOT has set aside as right-of-way in the median of 275 for two-way rapid transit is 44 feet wide.
Yeah, 44 feet. Right.
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 Right, so I'm looking at the comments. This area has been identified for a high-performing rapid transit project in the 2045 LRTP cost feasibility plan. The plan highlights the opportunity to reuse these tracks for passenger transportation and the funding set aside for fixed guideway transit as part of the major investments for economic growth strategy category. And the LRTP does two things by identifying this area as a high-performing rapid transit project and then setting aside the funding for the fixed guideway transit, but that funding is tied up at this time.
Right, and that's
Right.
long-range funding, so I would just emphasize that this is not to say that this project is prioritized ahead of other transit projects that are also in the long-range transportation plan.
I would also say that I have received confirmation that this is the only rail line that goes to South Tampa.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. I guess. Well, the reason I'm asking the question is because if this is indicated in the long-range transportation plan, regardless of how long that is, okay, or the outlook for the possibility of light rail or some of the fixed guideway transportation system in this corridor. That's my concern, preserving this corridor for that purpose.
Commissioner Green, this is Brian Sykes. If I can just interject a couple of points. Number one, I want it to be perfectly clear, we're preserving this railway. We're not doing anything that's going to stop the functionality of it. CSX has current operations on it, and they have, I believe, 2 trains a day, morning and afternoon, that come through, and they needed to make sure, and they wanted to make sure they preserved that. But the second point is the right-of-way here width is probably plus or minus 50 feet. It's 25 feet from the center line of the rail, and it's about the same on the other side. So it would be consistent with what is being reserved by DOT along 275. I can also say that if you head south from here and you go down through South Tampa, the railroad right-of-way width shrinks down and gets smaller. So, I mean, this is kind of an unusual area, and I don't see where we're doing anything that's preventing future usage of it by the city.
I'll just chime in and add on to that. The MPO in a section that I did not read because I was trying to be concise, but in their comments, they do mention that the Florida Department of Transportation has set aside 45 feet wide as right-of-way in the median of I-275 for rapid transit. This is considered the bare minimum for two-way rapid transit, inclusive of shoulders and barriers separating the two directions of transit from each other and the adjacent activities. A right-of-way lesser than this would enable a single track. And again, we will make sure that these comments are sent out to the commissioners.
Right, and the current track bed is it just accommodates a single track, right?
It is currently just a single track, yes.
Okay. I would feel much better voting on this if we had more input from either the MPO and the city or combined, about the future potential for this corridor. Because if we make a decision, to go forward with this land use, this comp plan amendment rather, that's going to put some restrictions on what that corridor, what the remainder of that corridor can be used for. And at this point, I'm just not comfortable with supporting this comp plan amendment for that reason.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Green. Are there any more comments? Did you have a comment, Commissioner Bernstein?
Maybe just for clarification, if, at least for our commissioners, I'm looking at page, looks like 48 of the PDF, 46, I think, of the packet, which contains a map. And if I'm reading this right, would it be the green rail line, which I'm thinking is it referred to as Rattlesnake Line when it gets into South Tampa? I believe that's correct. I assume that's what we're looking at when we see a green line running from close to the downtown corridor through South Tampa. It's the only rail line there. So I just want to confirm if it's possible to confirm that that is the rail corridor that we're talking about, should it continue into South Tampa.
Yes, and Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission. I had looked at that map. I believe it's a T-BARDA map for future rail opportunities. And the corridor is just identified as I think it's stated future rail opportunity. Again, the tracks are remaining.
Only other point, I suppose I'm inclined to echo Commissioner Green's sentiments on this. It's a little difficult to call upon this body to weigh on something that has significant ramifications potentially without the benefit of guidance from people who aren't able to participate on this call.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Bernstein. Commissioner Dowdy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can understand my fellow commissioners' concerns. I do feel that it would be, or it should have been incumbent upon the city of Tampa to have some of that information available to us, considering we were supposed to make a decision or are called upon to make a decision today. So while I understand my commissioner's hesitation to vote on something because the information wasn't available, I kind of feel that does the applicant a disservice by allowing the governmental agency to basically not do its job. So what I have heard, however, today is that DOT set aside a minimum of 45 feet for a two-rail right-of-way, which they're saying is the minimum needed to provide this commuter rail system that my fellow commissioners are concerned about. City of Tampa has no information otherwise. The applicant is saying that the right-of-way in this area is in around the area of 50 feet, so it seems to me that there's really not a problem based upon the information that we have today. And the applicant has also said that they will be, when they go to a rezoning, having to do the negotiations and the communications with those other agencies. I see the possibility that if it just so happened to be 44 feet instead of 50 feet, that the applicant would probably be somewhat obligated to give them a foot along that line. But I have a hard time voting no as inconsistent based upon the information that's been provided to me today. Just a comment, it's not really a question to anybody else. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Dowdy. Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me follow up. I just wanted to make kind of a follow-up comment here. I don't think our bodies should be in the position of getting down the weeds of some of these projects. And this is you're getting into we've talked about site plans and rail, which are probably two of the favorite hobbies of Hillsborough County people, but. My concern from this is that if there is to be a cost-effective rail solution that connects the South Tampa Peninsula to downtown, you're going to use the existing CSX rail line. That it seems as if the total right-of-way of where that remaining rail line would be 50 feet. You would, if you're being cost-effective, you would keep that rail line. So you would need another 25 feet maybe on the other side of the existing rail line, and so that's where my heartburn comes into play. However, we're not in the business of determining what the development looks like. That's the applicant working with the city staff. So I am inclined to support this as well. I don't think we should be comparing this to what's hopefully going to happen on 275 because it's two different types of projects. And 44 feet is perfectly acceptable for having high capacity transit. But here, if you use the existing rail line, it isn't. So that's my concern. But I agree with Commissioner Dowdy in that I would support this as consistent, and hopefully the applicant and the city of Tampa can get together and figure out a solution for it.
Thank you, Commissioner Marino. I see a hand raised by our Executive Director, Ms. Zornita.
Sorry, I forgot to put it down from earlier. Thank you.
Maybe not. Anyone else? Any comments from any of the other commissioners? I don't see anyone virtually, any of the virtual commissioners with their hands raised at this time. So I will open up the floor and entertain motions. Oh, Commissioner Dowdy, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move that we find the proposed land use designation change for City of Tampa TACPA 2021 from UMU 60, GMU 24, and public semi-public to urban mixed use 60, consistent with the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, and forward it to Tampa City Council.
All right, we have a motion of consistency by Commissioner Dowdy, and second by Commissioner Marino. Are there any more comments? No. Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Dowdy?
Yes.
Marino?
Yes.
Powell? Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Thank you. Green?
No.
Motion carried 7-1. Commissioner Green voted no.
Thank you.
Is on the line, and I will vote yes.
I apologize. Motion carried 8-1. Commissioner Green voted no.
All right, thank you. All right, on to our next item, B, TACPA 20-22. And this one's presented by David Hay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. David Hay with your Planning Commission staff. Can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just checking. Your next amendment is TACPA 20-22. It's located at 7,300 South Swoope Street. The subject site is located within the South Tampa Planning District, and more specifically, the Port Tampa City neighborhood. We see it down here. It's just north of MacDill Air Force Base. Here we have an aerial of the subject site. You can see the subject site is here in yellow, outlined in the red there. You've got South Sherrill Street to the east, West Ingram Street to the north, South O'Brien Street further to the west, and then South Swoope Street dead ends into the southern property boundary. This section of South Swoope Street is a private road. Then you've got Commerce Street and CSX Railroad further to the north. You can see the subject site is bordered with light industrial uses on the north and west. And then we've got single family detached on the south, and then we have a place of religious assembly on the east. A little background, it is privately initiated, it is small scale. It's approximately 0.98 acres in size. The current future land use designation is residential 35, and the applicant is seeking to go to that light industrial future land use category. Now we'll just take a quick tour around the neighborhood. Here we're looking north up South Sherrill Street. The subject site is behind the church up on the left here. Now here we're looking west down West Ingram Street from South Sherrill Street. You could see this is almost entirely light industrial. This site here where the trees are at, in the middle of the picture, that is the northern access point to the subject site. It's a commonly owned parcel that comes out to West Ingram Street. Here we're looking northeast onto the subject site from the northern terminus of South Swoope Street, which again is the private road. This is the subject site here. It's currently vacant. And then here we're looking east from the northern terminus of South Swoope Street. The subject site is out of frame on the left. This house is directly to the south of the subject site. And now we're looking northwest from the northern terminus of South Swoope Street. This is the light industrial use directly to the west of the subject site, and the subject site is out of frame to the right. Here we have the adopted future land use map. You can see the subject site is in that brown color, including all the properties to the east. That's represented by the residential 35. Then we have the light industrial represented by the gray to the north and west. And then the tan color represents the residential 10 where the single family detached is. Here we have the proposed future land use map, where the subject site has turned that light gray, which represents the light industrial land use category. The impacts of the proposed site currently under the residential 35, the site could be considered for a maximum of 35 dwelling units, or a maximum of 25,613 square feet of non-residential uses. Under the light industrial, residential is no longer permitted, but the non-residential square footage could increase to a 1.5 floor area ratio, which would allow approximately 64,333 square feet of non-residential uses. Again, it would remove the potential for residential uses and would allow for greater non-residential intensity, including general and intensive commercial and industrial general uses. Planning Commission did, like we always do, we sent it out to our reviewing agencies. None had any concerns with the proposed request. Planning Commission staff did review the comprehensive plan and found the proposed map amendment request for the light industrial future land use category would be consistent with the adopted policy guidance within the comprehensive plan. Your Planning Commission staff found two main areas of consistency. The first area was policy guidance related to the coastal high hazard area. In the coastal high hazard area, no net increase in residential uses is encouraged. The proposed light industrial category does not permit residential uses and would remove the possibility for a maximum of those 34 dwelling units, thus actually reducing the net density within the coastal high hazard. This removal of consideration for those residential uses is consistent with adopted policies. Also, it should be noted that typically the comprehensive plan is supportive of protecting the city's residential neighborhoods. Though adjacent to residential uses, especially along the southern property boundary, access to the subject site is through a commonly owned parcel along North Ingram Street, which is predominantly light industrial in character. Also, the light industrial future land use category is present directly to the west and north, thus industrial uses would be comparable to the existing surrounding development. Finally, industrial lands are recognized as an economic engine for the city of Tampa. The comprehensive plan supports the protection and appropriate expansion of industrial lands without negatively impacting any surrounding development. Planning Commission staff found that due to the unique circumstances of the subject site and its location, the request for the light industrial land use category is appropriate. So therefore, your Planning Commission staff does recommend to you this evening the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. Thank you very much. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hay. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Jamie Mayer for the applicant. Yes, we do have a presentation, although I will keep it short because staff did such a great job presenting, and I think mine would be pretty redundant. But if you don't mind, I will just, for good measure, go ahead and share my screen for the PowerPoint.
I'm not sure if the city also maybe, if they had any comments.
The city has no objection at this point.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Should I go ahead and share it?
Go ahead, yes, please.
Thank you. Okay. All right, looks like that's working. So again, I don't want to be redundant here. So this is pretty much everything that was already said. However, and I know as it was said in the prior item, actually, that it's not the business of the Planning Commission to consider, what's going to be done with the property, but I think it's interesting to note what the applicant is trying to do is create a kind of a craftsman's village or a small industrial incubator. It's going to promote individual spaces for solo or small machinists and individual fabricators. So we think this is to rent basically and use those spaces as their workshops. So we think this is really going to contribute to the industrial fabric of the Port Tampa area. Again, this was, you have seen this, and David Hay did a much better job of the photographs and aerials. Here's some more photos of the area from the adjacent parcel to the west and the adjacent parcel to the north, very industrial. Again, the church with the parking, it looks like they have a parking lot area as well, and some more industrial uses across the street. You've seen this dead end. And as it was said, it's consistent with the intent of the light industrial category, and the surrounding area has a lot of light industrial uses and even some heavy industrial a little farther up to the north. It's consistent with the development trend in the area. It's also near the West Shore Business District. We noted that there was a bus stop in the near vicinity. And once again, very importantly, it ensures that there will be no residential development possible on site. And some of the goals, again, as it was said, the industrial lands, recognizing the significance of the Port Tampa area, maintaining and encouraging light industrial uses where it's appropriate, and avoiding increase in residential density. So we have not received any objections from neighbors either. And of course, you know, we posted the notice sign and did the public noticing. So that will be our presentation. Thank you very much. And I will stop sharing my screen if I can figure out how.
Thank you very much. All right, I don't see anyone signed up for public comment on this item, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the commissioners. See if anyone has any comments or questions, any input on this item. I don't see anyone in the room. Let me check the WebEx for raised hands. I don't see any of the commissioners joining us virtually raising their hands, so I will go on ahead and open it up to motions.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Green, yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just one quick question for Mr. Hay. David, how is access to this site? The photographs that you showed, you said there was access from I forget the name of the street, but on the maps it looks like this site is completely surrounded. It doesn't have any street frontage at all.
Let me pull up, I'll show you on the map where they're planning on accessing through the commonly shared parcel. So bear with me 1 second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, that's the commonly owned parcel that they gain access to the site through. And you could see Swoope Street private. That's why they can't access that way.
Right.
Right there.
Okay. All right. Fine. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Green. All right, seeing no other hands or lights. Oh, Commissioner Bernstein, did you have a comment?
I was simply prepared to make a motion when deemed appropriate, Mr. Chair.
All right, I'll open it up and I will take the motion from Commissioner Bernstein. Oh, well, we make the motion.
I would move at this time that we find that City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment number 20-22 is consistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan and pass it on to the City Council for consideration.
Second.
I have a motion of consistency by Commissioner Bernstein, a second by Commissioner Dix. Is there any more comment or discussion on this item from the commissioners? I see no one on the line. I will ask the clerk then to go ahead and take a roll call vote on this item.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Dowdy?
Yes.
Marina?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Kress?
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
All right, on to our next item, 2C, TACPA 20-23. Presenter for this one is Danny Collins.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Good evening. This is Danny Collins with your Planning Commission staff. This is Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendments 2023. The subject site is located in the Central Tampa Planning District. It's within the historic Ybor neighborhood. It's also within the Ybor City Urban Village, and it's also within the local historic district. So this amendment will proceed to the Barrio Latino Commission prior to proceeding to City Council. Here is an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. You'll see the subject sites outlined in this black color. It's at the northeast quadrant of the intersection of East 3rd Avenue and Angel Oliva Senor Street. You'll see the development pattern around the site is prominently light industrial towards the south as you move towards Adamo Drive. The area to the north, there's some residential to the north. This parcel just to the east of the subject site was subject to a plan amendment last year to the UMU 60 category. And this is Philip Shore School to the east of the subject site as well. This is looking east across Angel Oliva Senor Street at the subject site. This is looking north along Angel Oliva Senor Street. The subject site is on our right. This is looking west on East 3rd Avenue. The subject site is out of the frame to the right. This is standing on the subject site looking south across East 3rd Avenue. This is looking at the western portion of the subject site from Angel Oliva Senor Street. And this is looking at the eastern portion of the subject site from East 3rd Avenue. A quick background of the request. This is a privately initiated request. It's a small scale amendment. It's approximately 0.23 acres. And the request is to change the future land use designation from the general mixed use 24 designation to the urban mixed use 60 designation. Here's the adopted future land use map showing the subject site under the GMU 24 category. To the east and south of the subject site is UMU 60. To the west is GMU 24. This light gray along Adamo Drive is designated light industrial. And then this red just to the north and scattered to the north throughout the parcels to the north are under that CC 35 future land use designation. This is the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under that UMU 60 category. Currently under the GMU 24 category, the site can be considered for a maximum of 5 residential dwelling units or just over 15,000 square feet of non-residential development. As proposed under the UMU 60 category, the site can be considered for 13 dwelling units or just over 32,000 square feet of non-residential development. So this would allow for a greater intensity and density on the subject site. The Planning Commission staff reviewed the request and found it consistent with several of the sections of the plan as it relates to the city planning strategy, development, redevelopments in urban villages, and with support a number of the neighborhood policies as well. And also it was supported, it supports a number of the housing policies in the plan. Based on those considerations, the Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies within 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Good evening. My name is, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Mark Bentley, 401 East Jackson Street, Tampa, 33602, representing the applicant. The proposed amendment is from the GMU 24 category, and under the city's comprehensive plan, that's considered an interim designation or a placeholder. This request is identical to CPA 1915, which Danny alluded to, and that's located actually contiguous to the subject property. It's the same size. That plan amendment was approved earlier this year by the Tampa City Council and was endorsed by your commission as well, I think last November. The intent is to assemble this property with the all the properties on the south one half of the block going to 19th Street, excuse me, 22nd. And that would be for residential development. And I know you're not supposed to get into those kind of type of issues, but that's the intent here. The request is supported by the City of Tampa's planning and development staff, and I'll answer any questions that you may have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bentley. I don't have anybody signed up, I don't believe, for this one. So I will open it up to, what?
Mr. Chair, I think you had like 3 or 4 people from the first one that said this is the one they wanted to talk about, isn't it?
No, that was 2032.
Okay.
I have the
Sorry.
form in front of me, so.
My mistake.
Unless, I will check with HTV and Melissa.
That's correct. There's no one signed up for this item.
All right, well, I will open it up in that case to the commissioners for comments on this item, if anyone has comments or questions. No one in the room. Let me check virtually here. I don't see any hands raised by the commissioners virtually, so I will open the floor up to entertain a motion. Commissioner Bernstein.
I would move that we find City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment number 20-23 consistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Second that.
All right, I have a motion for consistency by Commissioner Bernstein and a second from Commissioner Dix. Is there any more discussion on this item from anyone? No one online? All right, I'll ask the clerk to go on ahead and take a roll call vote, please.
Joseph,
Yes.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Cardenas,
Yes.
Dix,
Yes.
Dowdy,
Yes.
Marino,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Kress.
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
You. All right, our next item, 2D, TACPA 20-24. The presenter here is David Hay.
You can still hear me, right?
We can now.
Okay, good. Yeah, the next item is TACPA 2024. It's located at 302 South 56th Street. The site is located within the Central Tampa Planning District, more specifically the East Side commercial neighborhood. You may wonder, where is that? That is east of 50th Street in this area, the industrial area. It falls in within that area. Here we have an aerial of the subject site. You can see the subject site is outlined in red. Immediately to the north, you have the Leroy Selman Expressway. This small little road right here, this is South 56th Street. Couldn't even put a label in there. And then you gain access to the site through East Washington Street, which brings you westward out to South 50th Street. To the south, you have Palm River and the Bypass Canal. And then this is unincorporated county on the south side of the Palm River. And then we've got the CSX Railroad Right-of-Way, Railroad Freight Yard, the CETA yards to the north. Little background on the subject site, it is privately initiated, it is small scale. It's approximately 6.04 acres. Currently, the site has a transitional use 24 future land use designation. And the applicant is looking to go to a residential 35 future land use category. Now we'll take a little tour around the neighborhood. This is looking east, down East Washington Street toward the subject site. The subject site is located down here where the trees are. Now we're looking east toward the subject site. This whole area is the subject site. This is the access. They recently cleared some of the land to get access to it. South 56th Street is behind the photography. This is looking north from the intersection of South 56th Street and East Washington Street. The subject site is located over here, all these trees. You might be curious, when I was out there, these are all beehives. Someone's got a whole beehive facility in the right-of-way. It's pretty rustic out there. Next, this is looking northwest from the intersection of South 56th Street and East Washington Street toward some of the residential in proximity to the subject site. The subject site is out of frame toward the right, so it'd be over here on the right. Let's see. Next, we're looking south down South 56th Street. The subject site is located on the left of the photo over here, and there are some residential units behind these trees. Here we have the currently adopted future land use map. The subject site and all of this rust color that's surrounding it is that transitional use 24. That's that pretty unique category. It allows consideration for residential, commercial, and light industrial uses. Then you've got the Leroy Selman Expressway right-of-way, and then north of that, it's predominantly heavy industrial. We do have some regional mixed-use 100, represented by the purple, located at the southeast corner of Adamo and 50th Street, right over here. And then this dashed line on the south side of Palm River, that's the city boundary. So south of that is unincorporated county, and that is the residential 9 category in unincorporated Hillsborough County. So if this proposed amendment is finally adopted, the subject site would turn to that brown color, which represents the residential 35 future land use category. The impacts currently under that TU 24, the site can be considered for a maximum of 144 dwelling units, or a maximum of almost 400,000 square feet of non-residential uses under that 1.5 FAR. Under the proposed R35, the maximum residential unit count would go up to 211 units, while the non-residential square footage would decrease to 157,000. Proposed amendment, again, would increase the number of residential units that may be considered on site. Maximum non-residential square footage would be reduced. Light industrial and general and intensive commercial uses would no longer be permitted under that R35 future land use category. As we typically do, we send this application out to our partner agencies. We did receive objections from the city's Planning, Design, and Development Coordination Department. The department cited concerns about the location in a FEMA floodplain at the end of a local dead-end road and being located in the coastal high hazard area. We also received a letter from the Tampa Expressway Authority expressing concerns about drainage issues since they are an abutting property owner. Finally, the school board did note that Blake High School does not have available capacity at this time. Capacity does exist in contiguous concurrency service areas to support this project. And as always, this is an analysis for adequate facilities only and is not a determination of school concurrency. A school concurrency review will be issued prior to preliminary plat or site plan approval. All these comments are included within your packet for your review. Planning Commission staff did review the comprehensive plan and found that the proposed map amendment request for the residential 35 future land use category would be inconsistent with the adopted policy guidance within the comprehensive plan. Your Planning Commission staff found 2 main areas of inconsistency. Regarding the coastal high hazard area, CM Objective 1.1 seeks, quote, no net increase in overall residential density in the CHHA, unquote. Proposed plan amendment seeks a 45% increase in overall maximum residential density for the subject site. Though plan amendments are not prohibited in the coastal high hazard area, the comprehensive plan does discourage overall residential density increases in the CHHA. And you can see this is a map that has the coastal high hazard on it. This is the subject site here. And I highlight this, you can see there's some uplands there. So it's almost an island within the coastal high hazard area, which is this dashed green. There have been discussions on whether the subject site falls within the coastal high hazard area due to the large area of uplands that's shown on that map. CM policy 1.1.3 states that isolated areas like this site that are completely surrounded by the coastal high hazard area then are to be considered to be entirely within the coastal high hazard area. Based on this analysis, the Planning Commission staff has determined the proposed change is inconsistent with the coastal high hazard policy direction within the comprehensive plan, and the site is located entirely within the CHHA. Also identified inconsistencies with residential development and redevelopment policies. Though policies are generally supportive of residential infill, the comprehensive plan looks to encourage infill in pedestrian-oriented areas with access to service, amenities, and employment. Though the subject site is located near employment and transit, like the industrial to the north, the subject site is located in an area with existing single-family detached residential uses with no presence of multifamily residential. Infill development is to be minimally disruptive to surrounding development, and though multifamily can be considered under the existing TU24 category, additional density over what is currently permitted, that's the 24 dwelling units per acre, may be out of scale and context with the anticipated development pattern for the area, since the remaining area will entirely be at 24 dwelling units an acre. Also, access to the subject site is through East Washington Street, which is shown in the photo that you see in the PowerPoint. You can see that East Washington Street is substandard, lacking any sidewalks, and is prone to flooding. There is no other way to access the subject site. This is the only access way to gain access to South 56th Street. Based on these findings, the Planning Commission staff does recommend to you this evening the proposed map amendment be found inconsistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. That concludes my presentation. And next, I would like to turn it over to Frank Hall with the city, with any city comments and any presentation he may have regarding this application. And at the end, we're all available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Frank Hall with the City of Tampa. As David had covered quite extensively, based on historical development patterns in the area and the location subject site, the staff believes that the transition to R35 land use category is not in the best interest of this area and the city as a whole, and we will be recommending denial or objection.
All right, thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation on this item?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is David Mechanic. My office is at 305 South Boulevard, Tampa, Florida. I'm here with Michael Horner, who I will ask to address the staff report and describe in some detail, I mean, not in particular detail, the proposed development. And then I would like to reserve a few minutes at the end of his for some overall comments about the recommendations of the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, can you hear me fine? My name is Michael Horner. I'm representing the owner and the applicant on this CPA to Res 35. If the clerk could just notify me when I have approximately 4 minutes left. I don't want to overspeak and take Mr. Mechanic's closing comment. Commissioners, thank you for your time. This is a very unique site. We have been working with the City of Tampa staff for quite some time. Yes, sir. Sorry, I thought I heard an interruption. And we appreciate working with city staff on this. Mr. Hay did a fairly thorough report. We appreciate their efforts. We are a little concerned about the conclusions and the findings, and I'll discuss those in just a minute. If I could just go through a few slides. This is the site looking north from the Tampa Bay Bypass Canal, looking toward the Selman Expressway directly to the north. You can see this site is a little bit irregular. It has been the sole recipient of the dredge material from the Tampa Bay Bypass Canal over decades. So we're going back years, and all those spoil banks have been placed on this property. Suffice to say, this is an atypical and unusual parcel that is not consistent with any other topography or development plan parcel in the nearby area, and I would suggest throughout perhaps the city of Tampa, given its topography relief. We can go to the next slide, please. Commissioners, this is looking due west. You can see the CBD, Tampa downtown, far in the background. You can see the Selman Expressway on the right, and then we have the bypass canal to your left. Again, we have a lot of planted trees. We have a lot of exotic and nuisance species. There's a lot of debris and trash that we've been hauling out. It's been a very difficult site to maneuver. The client has had to actually get in there and clear just to have access to the survey crews. So the elevation on this site ranges up to 40 feet above grade. So portions of this site, you can stand on top of these spoil banks and you are almost eye level with the Leroy Selman Expressway. I would suggest that's very rare for any property abutting the Selman Expressway, particularly for a residential property. You see the land uses of the road to the south, which would be to your left. That is an access road. Those properties are owned by Swift Mud. They are currently leasing that to rowing teams, and they have their maintenance building where they have their practice sessions, and that is under Swift Mud's control and Swift Mud's separate lease agreement. Next slide, please. This is a close-up looking north into the site. Again, that building is the rowing facilities that was leased to college kids and their teams. This is a separate freestanding structure. You can see the rowing markings on the side. You can see a couple docks. That is their ingress and egress for their practice sessions. That road to the west is a compacted road that is a Swift Mud easement. Next slide, please. As David's slide pointed out as well, we are off East Washington Street. Washington Street is a east-west roadway that extends eastward from US 41, 50th Street. It is a narrow road. It will have to be improved. My client is aware of that, and we have to go through that process for those upgrades. I do believe it's a 50-foot right-of-way. The pavement is approximately 20 feet. So we will have some additional upgrades for the sidewalk and the improvement of this roadway to meet those standards, both for the city of Tampa as well as evacuation route standards as well. Next slide. So here's a plan view aerial. You can see the two properties highlighted by the stars. These properties are separated by intervening right-of-ways. I believe we just recently filed a right-of-way vacation, and that right-of-way vacation would add approximately another 1.5 acres to this 6-acre tract, allowing us unified control, unified development opportunities on about 7.5 acres. The only two single-family homes are to the west, 56th Street, and there are bees out there, so if you're out there traveling, I would caution you not to get too close to those beehives. Washington Street is directly west, where we will have an access drive connecting through to 41. Next slide, please. So this is on the site. David had a few of those photos as well. There's the Leroy Selman. You would think you'd be able to see the elevated Selman Expressway from the site. You cannot because of the spoil piles. You can actually see the trees growing out of the spoil piles. So that is the highest view, about 40 feet high on the right side, and then looking west on that left side of your screen. Next slide, please. There is Washington. We're looking due west toward the terminus of Washington Street. Again, selective clearing has been done just to get the survey crews out there and get a feel for the boundaries, dimensions, configuration, and obviously drainage ways that are imposed by the Expressway Authority. I'll talk about that in a moment. Next slide, please. Commissioners, this is a zoning map. You can see that this entire area is zoned RM16. So multifamily is permitted, townhomes are permitted, stacked units are permitted, apartments are permitted. You can see IG zoning is in the northwest quadrant. Then we have an RM24 due west of our property. We also have RM24 on the north side, south of the expressway. That dividing line between the CI and this property further east and property surrounding it is the CSX Railroad right-of-way. So Washington Street crosses past that CSX right-of-way. And again, RM24 is 24 units per acre. We could develop a 16 unit per acre multifamily apartment project tomorrow with no improvements to Washington, no rezoning, no public hearings, and that's been confirmed by city staff. If you look closer, you can see the highlights on the western portion of that gray RM16. You can see those are wetland areas. You will not see any of those wetland areas on the east side on our property. Next slide, please. This is stepping back on the plan view, commissioners. I want to show you that we are all within the TU24. That transitional 24 is kind of an amorphous district. Planning Commission is trying to sunset that district. You cannot apply for the TU24 plan sector. We do have CMU 35 continuing westward. You can see that little light CMU 35. That is the corporate headquarters just constructed a month ago for Egypt Shriners, 36,000 square feet, 2-story. And that was approved by the Planning Commission back, I believe, in 2007. Next slide, please. So the biggest issue with staff is the coastal high hazard area and flood zone FEMA maps. This is the flood hazard per map. You can see that 95% of this property is not within any flood zone. It is not a flood zone. It is in flood zone X. No flood insurance is required. No buildings have to be elevated outside of the normal base flood elevation requirements. So I want to point that out because this is important since staff's major objection is this site is in a flood zone. It is not in a flood zone. The only portion that has a flood zone designation is an existing permanent drainage easement that the Selman Expressway Turnpike Authority conveyed and granted and was recorded on the western portion of our property, and that goes right to the Tampa Bay Bypass Canal. We will not encroach on that. That is about 0.40 acres. We will have ultimately 7.5 acres. That is the only area that is in a flood zone, and also, might add, the coastal high hazard area. And again, we will not encroach in any of that area. We will have to meet our own requirements for site development on site, and we will not have to have flood insurance on this property. Next slide, please. So commissioners, here is the CHH map. And essentially the area encumbered by that permanent drainage easement from the cross town, we think it's a little bit less than that, is on the western portion that abuts 56th Street. Once again, our site plan will pull all of our improvements outside of that area. We will not have any buildings, any parking, any structures, any improvements whatsoever within that. In addition to that, we'll maintain a 30-foot building setback to that coastal high hazard area and that recorded drainage easement, which is a wetland according to EPC. Next slide, please. Commissioners, we're looking for some opportunity for affordable housing. We went to the Res 35 because our client is trying to find an opportunity for affordable housing that works with both market rates and provides for additional housing opportunities. Next slide, please. This is a potential site plan. Is that my 4-minute notice? Never mind. This is the potential site plan that we have come up with, commissioners. This was prior to the surveys being received with the permanent drainage easement. We will be stepping back those improvements on the western side and the building on the western side. Those improvements will be pulled outside of that drainage easement, which is the only area in the CHH. We are Res 35. We just had a conference call with Ms. Abby Feely last week. We all discussed that this is probably one of the few vacant, unified ownership parcels in the city of Tampa that is close to the urban core. We have the expressway off 50th Street. We have transit in place. We have right turn lanes available onto the expressway ramps. We will meet all hurricane evacuation requirements. There is no question this is an appropriate infill development. We'd like to do 30 units per acre for market rate, and then an additional 5 units per acre for the affordable housing, workforce housing as well. What does that result in? About a difference of 67 units over what is approved right now under the TU 24. We can address those impacts. We can address those issues through the site development plan. We're going to put this CPA on hold so that we can file our detailed PD rezoning, and both would track concurrently to City Council so that everybody can see exactly how this addresses site improvement needs, Washington Street improvements, and certainly any coastal high hazard area evacuation requirements. Next slide, please.
Mr. Horner, you have 4 minutes remaining.
All right, I'll finish with this. Commissioners, this was in the St. Pete Times just a week ago, pragmatic approach to coastal growth. If you read that first paragraph, I'm not going to read it for you, but what it states essentially is an oversimplification is not the way to go on protecting coastal high hazard areas. I like to think Hillsborough County is just as progressive as St. Petersburg. They have incredible waterfront as we do. However, if you eliminate 100% of all coastal high hazard designated areas for higher density, we will never get to that point of allowing for reasonable, smart growth. They are allowing for incremental coastal hazard parcels to be considered under very strict criteria on hurricane evacuation, FEMA standards, hurricane evacuation timelines, shelters, etc. We think, rather than throw the baby out with the bathwater, as my mother would say, allow for smart growth to take place. Thank you, Commissioners. I'll turn it back over to Dave McCann.
Again, for the record. The next slide, please. Could we have the next slide? Yes, Commissioners, this is a map of the coastal high hazard areas within the city and the county. Since so much has been made about the coastal high hazard designation, I wanted to show you what this involves in terms of the city. It's a little bit hard to read. This is a planning commission map. As you can see, I don't know if you could see my cursor, but this is the Inner Bay Peninsula that I'm circling right here. What this is showing is that most of downtown, all of Bayshore Boulevard, and up north on the Hillsborough River are all part of the coastal high hazard area. And as you know, development has been and will continue to occur in these areas. You are talking about Bayshore Boulevard, where I think just recently 2 condo towers have been approved. You're talking about Water Street, which is ongoing and intends to build a significant amount of residential development. You're also talking about the city's West River project, which is in the coastal high hazard area. And there has been no objection whatsoever to these projects going forward. As Mike just mentioned about the city of St. Pete, I think the city of Tampa has already understood that there's a balancing test between prohibiting all growth in the coastal high hazard area and allowing some reasonable amount of growth. This proposal allows for the possibility of affordable housing, and it's also in an area, notwithstanding the staff saying that the use may be incompatible. The staff report also indicates that there is no clear identifiable development trend. So therefore, we have the opportunity to establish a trend in this location at this site, which ultimately will be quite attractive when the roads are upgraded and all the facilities are in place. And with that, we thank you very much, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think I have one person signed up for public comment on this item. I have a Michael Junkel.
Hello. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Michael.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
I apologize. I lost you. I want to say, my name is Michael Junkel. I am one of the residential properties owners on Washington Street. And I want to thank the board for this chance to hear the proposals and to hear the Planning Commission's reports on this. As addressed by both the commission and by the by the applicant, I have three concerns, and that is infrastructure, which has been pointed out by the applicant on pertaining to Washington Street and pertaining to the right-of-way on Washington Street. I don't have the luxury of an ISP connection for the presentation, so I'm relying on the presentation that I downloaded pertaining to 20-, what was that, to TA Section DA 20-24. If my understanding is that pictures were shown of Washington Street and the right-of-way. The impact on my property due to the constraints of the right-of-way and what is going to be required for the width. My understanding right now that it is 50 feet of right-of-way. Is any more right-of-way going to be necessary? And how will my property be affected by that? And will there be any constraints against my use on my property if the project is accepted? As far as the way that this has been presented, it looks like the applicant has answered very many of the questions that I have, but I do have concerns about my property and if there's going to be any taking of property in order to improve the infrastructure for the roads and to bring the utilities into this area. The third item that I have is pertaining to the recently constructed land bridge over the drainage canal. That is referenced on Tony Garcia's attachment on, I believe, page 44, picture number 3. It shows that bridge, which is basically the drainage canal that has been covered in, and two pipes that were put into it that really need to be addressed. But the concern is, if this project is accepted or it is denied, what will be the disposition of that land bridge in the future? Will it be taken away, or will it be left there, or improved? So I appreciate all the information that was given. There was a tremendous amount of information that was really appreciated to know what's going to happen in this area. And I don't have any real opposition or I don't approve or disapprove the project is basically what I'm trying to say. So if those answers can be addressed, primarily the right-of-way constraints, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Junkel. I don't seem to have anyone else signed up for this, so I will allow the applicant to go ahead and have 3 minutes for a rebuttal.
If need be. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael Horner again for the record. We appreciate the call in of the neighbor. Just to appease his concerns, we will not be needing any additional right-of-way from his property. We have confirmed with our engineers that we do have a 50-foot right-of-way. That is sufficient for improvements and widening and utilities. We will be bringing public water and public sewer. There's a force main further west, and we'll be extending water as well. Regarding the drain improvement, we did have an aggressive contractor that was trying to get access to a portion of the site. I believe that was installed. He has been in discussions with the city. They were actually given a citation. Work is completely stopped, and that will have to be addressed certainly before any formal site plan approval and engineering plans are signed off. But my guess is that will probably not remain, although we will be looking for a culvert crossing on this property to Washington Street across that permanent easement. We have to, since it's the only easement that separates us from Washington Street right-of-way. Thank you.
Dave Mechanic, I have nothing else. We would appreciate your favorable consideration of this request. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this point, I will open it up to commissioners for comments on this item, 20-24. Don't see any. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This question is really for staff. The applicant presented some really great maps as related to the flood map and the coastal high hazard area, and seems to me that a lot of the basis for the staff not finding this consistent was because there's a tiny little portion, the property that are, within these areas. But overall, it does appear that at least 95% of the site, isn't encumbered in those areas. So it's kind of curious, what sort of consideration it was given to the part of the land that is, not in those areas.
Commissioner, this is David Hay with your staff. Our consistency finding is not based on the 100-year floodplain. It's based on the site being located within the coastal high hazard area. And even though the site does have a significant portion of uplands, policy 1.1.3 of the coastal management element does direct that these isolated areas that are surrounded by the coastal high hazard area are to be considered wholly within the coastal high hazard area. And we will also note that the only access point to the site is completely within the coastal high hazard area. So that was where staff had found consistency issues with the application, not the floodplain issue.
Right, so just because the area surrounding it, to me, this seems like more like this might be more of an engineering problem, than anything. But okay, all right, that answers a question for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. I had Commissioner Bernstein first, and then I'll get over to you, Commissioner Cardenas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an observation and a question directed at the applicant. And as an observation, I would just commend you for taking a chance on what looks like an overlooked plot of land there, and particularly for investing in affordable housing, which is certainly a noble endeavor. But I had a question that was specific to the role of THEA, and I'm looking at a letter in our packet that appears at page 38 with a couple of bullet points laid out by Ms. Quinones over there. One of them refers to concerns over the potential adverse effects on drainage on any future development in the area adjacent, I presume, to the Selman. And then below that, there's a reference to a trail on which the county had previously approached THEA, and it looks like THEA seems to be expressing a desire and some coordination and dialogue. And I was just hoping maybe you could address those two items.
Yes, Mr. Bernstein, thank you. I meant to address the Expressway Authority question. The city's drainage regulations prohibit us from increasing drainage flow either in terms of rate of flow or the volume. That is all addressed at the construction stage. So there's no reason why there would be any concern or even review at the plan amendment level of an application. That's all dealt with in the building permit stage. Regarding the possibility of a trail, my client would welcome the opportunity to have a trail near the project, and we would certainly work with the Expressway Authority and the city to see that that could be implemented. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernstein. Commissioner Cardenas.
I guess part of my thought process on this is, and I guess I'm more so asking some of my fellow commissioners, is in reference to protecting some of our industrial land and what that's going to mean for us in the future. And it seems like the current zoning allows for a little bit of light industrial and such. And, you know, I just kind of want to open up that discussion and see what your guys' thoughts are on that.
Well, I will say for myself that kind of took me a little bit from left field there. I didn't even think about the potential for light industrial right there that close to the water. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't quite know. I'd be necessarily excited about that necessarily. I mean, that could be a dangerous place to put industrial stuff, but that all depends. So this is me shooting from the hip. Just throwing that out there. Commissioner Bernstein looks like he had something better to say though, so.
It's probably worse, actually. But it dawned on me, maybe a broader observation, because this came up on, I think, the last initiative that came up in South Tampa toward Gandy, this notion that areas that might not be deemed appropriate for residential would otherwise be deemed appropriate for commercial. I'm not an engineer, but I worry a little bit about the trend I'm starting to sense from time to time, where if we're not comfortable building houses there, I hate to put it this way, but to throw a factory or throw an industrial setting, water is water, right? Whether it gets into residential neighborhoods or industrial settings, you know, the ramifications could be catastrophic. So I guess I don't draw maybe as rigid a line between the two when I'm thinking through these issues from a water perspective.
Thank you. We'll go to the water expert, Commissioner Dowdy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was actually kind of going to echo Commissioner Bernstein's initial comment that this strikes me as a very unique piece of property. And yeah, it's a little island in the coastal high hazard area. So I guess the only real concern I would have associated with that would be just the egress out of the site during an evacuation event. Being the concerns have been raised that Washington Street is the only way to get out. Provided there's some way to address that, you know, there's a certain length that they have to travel down Washington Street before they hit a larger roadway and can get on and out. I'm not averse to the applicant's proposal as far as that goes. And to Commissioner Cardenas, at the discussion about industrial, you know, personally, you know, I mean, it's like when I did ride the crosstown to work every day before pre-COVID, I mean, I always went by and I drive right past this thing, you know, twice a day. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, that was a really neat idea. And it strikes me that this area, we've had a number of amendments that have come before us that may not make sense to the strict interpretation of the comp plan, but they're their own unique situation, sitting somewhere to where, and like they said, there's nothing in this area that you can really lay your hands on and say, this is what's going here. And I personally don't see industrial going there. I don't see anything commercial going there. I kind of think that the only thing that is going to go there is something like what this applicant is proposing to build there. It's almost a perfect place for it. Like I said, the only concern that I have is the access way being completely within the coastal high hazard area, and I'm not certain if there are any ways to really offset that, but that in and of itself isn't a reason for me to necessarily deny it. So no question, just comments. Thanks.
All right, before I hand it over to you, Commissioner Powell, I just wanted to say that for us to remember that I believe staff found this inconsistent. So if we're wanting to find this consistent, we're going to have to come up with some policies here. So just keep that in mind. Commissioner Powell, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I forgot to ask a question. I think I heard it was said that 60 units were going to be held out for affordable housing. Was that correct? Or that was the
We do not vacate that right of way at 6 acres, it would be approximately 60 units. If we vacate that right of way, which is now pending, we have another 1.5 acres. That'll increase to approximately 80 to 82 units. So that's correct.
What for affordable housing? What sort of affordable housing would that appease to? We're talking setting aside for those that are between 80 and 120% of AMI, 50% or below. Like, where would that set aside be and designated for, or has that been established?
It's been established, Commissioner. It's a good question. The city, as you probably are aware, does not have adopted affordable housing criteria per se, unlike Hillsborough County that has density bump up, provision of facilities tied to an FHFC funding program, proximity of services, shopping malls, doctor's offices, etc. We are part of that review. The mayor's office has asked us to give them recommendations, as well as to Ms. Feely's office on that. My guess it would be 80 to 120% of that AMI.
Well, I'm also on the Affordable Housing Board, and I can tell you that we have a decent supply of affordable housing for those that are within the 80 to 120%, but we have a really great need for those that are going to be 50% or below, or even 30% below. We don't have enough. I think we're short some 25,000 units between those two brackets. So it would be really fantastic if there could be at least a blend for those residents, because again, we just have such a need in the county for that. I don't particularly oppose this, and so I'm going to take a minute here and listen to some of my other commissioners and see if anyone else has some good policy recommendations on finding a way to approve this.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Let me just check with my virtual commissioners. I hadn't seen any hands up, just making sure. Commissioners Kress, Rodriguez, Green, and Amber Dickerson, or the alternate sitting in for her. Didn't have any questions? No? Go around.
David Hay, can I address something that was brought up?
Oh, yes, please.
Commissioners, the discussion has gone toward affordable housing, which of course is a vitally important area for the city. I do want to remind all the commissioners that this plan amendment does not in any way guarantee that affordable housing would be part of whatever is finally developed on this site. There is no legal way to tie the applicant to the statements about affordable housing. Also, I just want to clarify that, the site is a transitional use 24, so it does allow all three of, the main classes of uses, commercial, industrial, and residential. And, the site can be considered right now for up to 24 dwelling units. The issue that staff had is the increase appropriate? Not whether residential uses are appropriate. They are appropriate there. It's the increase in that location within the coastal high hazard area that was an issue for staff. And I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hay. Any more? Nope. All right. I don't see any more lights on in the room. I don't see any more hands raised on the video in the WebEx. So I will go ahead and open the floor up and entertain a motion at this point in time.
For the 3-minute rebuttal or not at this stage?
Was he speaking to us or? Okay.
I thought a 3-minute rebuttal was also permitted.
All right. Well, back to the motion. Is there any motion on this item, Commissioner Bernstein?
Mr. Chair, not a motion, but maybe offering a policy reference to frame the discussion that might set the table for a motion.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the housing element objective 2.1. So an objective, not a policy, but the notion of working in cooperation with the private sector to achieve an annual net increase of housing units to provide total housing supply by the year 2015. We're well beyond that. But I guess my point, having heard Mr. Hay, is it sounds like the primary concern that staff is raising goes more to the expansion beyond, the current use in housing units. And maybe Mr. Hay, to help us a little bit more, can you be a little more granular in terms of how many units this would represent an expansion of if the application was granted? I mean, are we able, in other words, to quantify that number and what it would look like?
Sure. I'm going to go back to my presentation here. Just bear with me one second. I should learn never to close my presentation before. All right. Let me share this with you.
It's 67 units.
Right. Currently, this site, and hopefully you can see my screen now, and currently the site could be considered for 144 dwelling units. So multifamily can be considered at the site. It's an appropriate use there deemed by the comprehensive plan. It's about a 45% increase up to that 211 units. Staff concern was the overall increase, and that it is located where it is in the coastal high hazard area at the end of a dead end road. I believe that was also city staff's concern with it. So it's not that the site is not appropriate for any residential. That's not our position. The position is that it's appropriate for currently up to consideration up to that 24. But any over that runs into issues with the policies that have been identified in the staff report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hay. My only observation, I suppose, and others may see it differently, but if we're generally comfortable, according to our guidelines, with up to, 144 or so units, and it's that delta of 67 that raises a concern, I guess my own reaction from a distance is that doesn't strike me as all that significant, a spike, particularly if we are getting the benefit, and Mr. Hay, I'll take it value that we can't take it to the bank, but if there's even the possibility of increased affordable housing, that to me is a fair trade-off for that prospect. I guess that's how I'd like to view this.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Bernstein. Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would, sorry here, get everything. back to, lost my place here.
Are you attempting to make a motion?
Yes, I'm
Oh, well, let me
attempting to make a
close
motion.
down the comments
Oh, I'm sorry.
first. There's,
I thought we were.
any more? Commissioner Dix is not a comment?
Yeah, if you would, Mr. Chairman, I have been listening to the comments, and I respect the opinion of my fellow commissioners, but, you know, that extra 60-some-odd units, remember, are not expressly dedicated to affordable housing. There's no guarantee that it will become affordable housing. And already, if you look at it in its raw sense of 144 units, I can certainly see how planners decided many years ago to make that eligible. I wouldn't want to second guess that now, but to expand upon that, you know, you're looking at a development with 130 some odd units, 67 more units, where it's literally has one entrance. It's blocked by the Leroy Selman Expressway. It's blocked by the river on the south. If there's any kind of exigent circumstances or any kind of emergency whatsoever, there's no other way to get out but that one way. And we're always particularly concerned when we have large developments not having two exits and two entry points. So I have a concern. While I certainly value your opinions, I certainly have a concern with magnifying this based on some of the staff's findings and also just the configuration of the property itself.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. Commissioner Cardenas.
With that thought in mind, exactly, I also think that making a consideration for affordable housing, is that somewhere where we want to put those people in that situation? Or do we want to create that, open that floodgate up for individuals that may not be able to handle that in the best way?
Thank you. Commissioner Powell, yes.
Well, I mean, on that vein, thank you, Mr. Chair. On that vein, emergencies do, happen, but the majority of our flooding issues and concerns come, via hurricanes, and that sort of inclement weather. And while I do empathize, with your point, Commissioner Cardenas, our news is pretty good at covering, when there's a storm, headed this way, and I do feel that and think that those residents, would certainly have, more than, ample, amount of time to at least get into their cars and, go to, seeking higher ground. So I do understand the point and the concern. I do think that there might be some, some engineering there that can happen in terms of, further aid in the drainage. But, when you're told to leave, it's a good idea to leave. And I do get if some of this does get dedicated over to, those for affordable housing, they may not have cars, and there certainly isn't probably, a ton of transit, in public transportation in that area. But I think that the greater benefit, if it was for affordable housing, is that we're providing, roofs over people's heads versus, their ability to may not to be able to, leave in a car. So I think that's weighs more for me than it would for them, their ability not to maybe, get out right away or something of that nature. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. There any? Oh, Commissioner Marino. Sorry, you're in a weird angle, so I can never see your light. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry, thank you, sir. I just want to make the comment that I think the point that Mr. Hay made about this being a coastal high hazard area is really the pivot point on this, because for a property like this, I think Mr. Bernstein made the point of kind of what else could be developed there, and I think as we move forward, and it came up in the presentation, we as a community are going to have to figure out what we do with the coastal high hazard area and development within it. And so I think that's really the thing we have to really think about going forward with these types of projects, because we need more housing in all sort of income levels. And if the coastal high hazard area is a barrier, then we need to either work around it, or projects like this should be inconsistent because it's in the coastal high hazard area. So I just want to make that point that we need to figure out how to live with it or not live with it.
Thank you. Are there any more comments from the commissioners? Let me do a check on the WebEx virtual one more time, make sure no one there had their hands raised. No. Not seeing any more lights in the room, then I will go ahead and close public comment and open the floor up to entertain motions. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we find TACPA 20-24 consistent with land use policy 9.81, 9.82, and 9.83, and that we forward this over to Tampa City Council for approval.
Second.
All right, I have a motion for consistency finding by Commissioner Powell citing policies 9.81, 9.82, and 9.83. I have a second to that motion by Commissioner Doughty. Are there any comments? I see Commissioner Dix down there.
Just one, Mr. Chairman. So I'll understand what the policies 9.81, 2, and 3 have to say.
I'll kick that back over to Commissioner Powell or maybe staff. I don't know.
Well, I'll let staff answer until we'll find that.
As well, but
okay.
Pull up the comp plan. 9.8 is 9.81 is cited in the staff report. It talks about moderate density in multifamily areas to provide additional housing opportunities and encouraging infill projects and conversions of existing buildings which are compatible with existing mix of houses and small to moderate scale apartment buildings, or providing new residential development at moderate densities which can fill in vacant or underdeveloped sites in neighborhoods with existing moderate density residential structures. It'll just take me a moment to pull up the other two policies.
This is David. I have the other two.
Thanks.
9.82 and 9.83, right?
Yeah.
9.8.2, it says emphasize residential character and the development standards for moderate density multifamily zones and provide for a scale of development and building types that differs from those of single family and low density multifamily areas in order to accommodate increased residential densities. And then land use policy 9.8.3 states promote denser residential scaled multifamily neighborhoods by permitting building types that allow for multifamily walk-up apartments. These buildings should be designed with height limits and development standards that promote a strong relationship between individual dwellings and the ground floor. So those are the last two.
Thank you. Did you get that, Commissioner Dix? It sounds like a...
Well, I did. I don't see that any of the three apply to this at all. I couldn't support that motion under those whatsoever. I think there's plenty of density as it is, without increasing it. And, staff came up with policies that are extremely pertinent in suggesting that it be inconsistent. And I'm particularly concerned, as I mentioned, about increasing, the density in that area where you have one entry and one exit. And granted, media sources say all the time, leave, 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 leave. And you know why they do that? They do that because nobody does. So they keep repeating it over and over and over. And in those kinds of situations, not just hurricanes, but other situations, to have only one entry and one exit, it is an invitation to catastrophe, because it takes only one or two vehicles to block the entrance and the exit for everybody else. So in that respect, I can't support the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. Commissioner Doughty, you look like you were...
I was
possibly.
Yeah, I could, but I don't know that I need to. I will. And this would be for our executive director, Melissa, if you could perhaps go to the housing policies 1.3 and 1.34, and land use policies 9.2 and 9.3, and read those as well.
Sure. Hold on, I've lost my place. Okay, here we are. Housing objective 1.3 says ensure an adequate supply of housing is available to meet the needs, preferences, and financial capabilities of Tampa's households now and in the future in all neighborhoods. Housing policy 1.3.4 says encourage new housing on vacant, infill, or underutilized land. And then land use 9.2 is an objective that says ensure that there is an adequate amount of land planned for residential purposes to accommodate the projected population. And then I think you also said 9.3, which says is also an objective that says compatible development and redevelopment to sustain stable neighborhoods and ensure the social and economic health of the city.
Thank you, Madam Director. And like most of our policies and objectives, they're all subject to interpretation, but I think there's enough in the policies and objectives that have been cited to for me to be able to support the motion. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Dowdy. Commissioner Cardenas, I saw a light on earlier. Okay, all right. Was there any more discussion on this item? Let me check on the virtual. Melissa, did you have a?
Those additional policies are to be cited in the consistency finding. It would be good to have them included in the motion so that they can be included in the resolution.
Commissioner Dowdy was.
Well, no, I would offer a friendly amendment to Commissioner Powell's motion to include housing policies 1.3, 1.3.4, and land use objectives 9.2 and 9.3 to his motion as citations for finding consistency.
All right.
I'd agree with that.
All right. We have an amended motion now for consistency finding by Commissioner Powell. Policies 9.8.1, 9.82, 9.83. Amended and added to that is 1.3, 1.4, 9.2, and 9.3. Again, that's a consistency finding.
It's just 1.3.4, not 1.4.
Oh, 1.3.4 and no 1.4. Okay. 1.3.4, 9.2, 9.3. Okay. Consistency. And who, did we get a second? Okay. And that was a second by Commissioner Dowdy. All right. No more discussion about it. Then I will turn it over to the clerk for a roll call vote.
Joseph?
No.
Bernstein?
No.
Cardenas?
No.
Dix?
No.
Dowdy?
Yes.
Marina?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
Green?
No.
Kress? Commissioner Kress? Motion fails 3-5. Commissioners Joseph, Bernstein, Cardenas, Dix, and Green voted no.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm with you, Commissioner Kress was absent on that one.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, on to our next item.
A motion finding it consistent then?
A motion finding it inconsistent.
Sorry.
You need a,
Oh, okay, because that one failed. I see. Open it back up again for another motion. Commissioner Bernstein?
I would move that we find Tampa Plan Amendment 20-24, inconsistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
I have a motion for inconsistent finding by Commissioner Bernstein, a second by Commissioner Dix. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call roll call vote.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Dowdy?
No.
Marino?
No.
Powell?
No.
Green?
Yes.
Kress?
Commissioner,
Motion carried 5 to, I'm sorry?
Commissioner Kress is trying to unmute. I'm not sure why we can't hear her. Commissioner Kress, tries talking now. Commissioner Kress?
Commissioner Kress, this is Dan from Hillsborough County. You might have to log back out and then log back in to reset your WebEx with your mic.
Okay.
All right.
Commissioner Kress, or would you like me to announce the vote? I'm sorry?
I don't know if he heard you.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to announce the vote, or would you like me to wait for Commissioner Kress?
You can go ahead and announce the vote.
Okay. Motion carried 5 to 3. Commissioners Dowdy, Marino, and Powell voted no.
Thank you. All right, now moving on to our next item, 2E, TACPA 20-32, and the presenter for this one is Jennifer Malone.
Jennifer Malone with your Planning Commission staff. I'm attempting to share my screen. Okay. This is Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2032. It is located in the Central Tampa Planning District as well as within the West Tampa Urban Village. It is located, this site will look familiar to you because it was the subject of a plan amendment about a year ago, and it is also right next to one of the plan amendments that we spoke about earlier this evening. So it is east of North Willow Avenue. It's highlighted in red, and it is, this is North Boulevard here that kind of fronts the University of Tampa campus. This is West Cass Street, and as that intersection of North Boulevard and West Cass Street is the north. This is the subject site. I would note Northeast Street, Willow are some of the roads connecting the subject site as well as Newport Avenue in the surrounding area. I have some site pictures. This is the subject site located in North Newport Avenue. That's North Newport Avenue to the north. We have the intersection of North. The subject site is behind me. And then West Fig Street facing north. This is a privately initiated amendment. It is small scale at about 1.78 acres, and the request before you is to go to urban mixed use 60 to regional mixed use 100. This will be familiar if you remember Tampa Plan Amendment 1917. The applicant requested to go to the UME 60 designation. And that was found consistent by this council and approved by Tampa City Council. So we see that adopted urban mixed use 60 on the subject site outlined in the black hashes. The urban mixed use 60 pattern continues to the north. There is general mixed use 24 in the area as well. And then that public designation is recognizing the University of Tampa. There is some regional mixed use 100 already at the intersection of West Cass Street and North Boulevard to the north, and a little bit down to the south along West Kennedy Boulevard. The proposal before you tonight would request that the subject site is taken to the regional mixed use 100 future land use designation. This would increase the potential intensity and density from about 100 units to 178 units. It would also increase the allowable square footage from about 250,000 square feet to 270,000 square feet. But most importantly, this would really change the bonus structure within this future land use designation. On the next slide, and this was in the briefing presentation, but I'll just go over it again. The urban mixed use 60 has a bonus structure set up so that the applicant would receive a 2.5 FAR by right by just doing any type of development. If the applicant is interested in having a higher FAR, they can pay a bonus to the city, enter into a development agreement, and pay a monetary amount to the city to increase their FAR from 2.5 to 3.25 in that category. If the applicant, there's another option to make that payment not as expensive. The applicant can meet the 3 criteria on the bottom of the slide, that the subject site must be on an arterial, 2 uses have to be incorporated into the proposal, and there's an acreage requirement. The subject site is not located on an arterial, and so they do not qualify for that bump to be 2.75. The regional mixed use 100 designation has no bonus structure, and it is a 3.5 FAR by right to the applicant for the subject site. There is an objection on this from the City of Tampa Planning and Development Department. Hillsborough County School Board also identified schools in the area that do not have adequate capacity. The Planning Commission staff did find this inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan states that areas designated regional mixed use 100 must have significant vehicular access or proximity to major transportation facilities. On the slide here, I've circled the areas within the city where there's most of the regional mixed use 100 lands. So that's either near the central business district and just outside of it in this one circle, or within the West Shore area in this other circle. The central business district has it's the most intense development within the city. And that regional mixed use 100 designation really provides that transition in intensity and in density as the land use pattern changes away from the urban, away from the central business district. So these areas are the Heights, Encore development, at Kennedy Boulevard, and you're just leaving downtown, driving west, excuse me. So that is really where we see this development. Again, the urban mixed use 60, I apologize. This area of the city just outside of the CBD has an extensive roadway network, and it also has access to the Marion Transit Center, which is a major transportation facility. Within the West Shore area, this is appropriate to the extensive roadway network, which serves 6 million square feet of retail and 12 million square feet of office space in that area. North Newport Avenue, West Fig Street, and West North B are all local roadways. North Willow is that north-south connection from the subject site to Kennedy Boulevard, but it is only designated as a collector roadway. There have been about 6 plan amendments since 2006. In the surrounding area to that urban mixed use 60 category, including the site, which came before me about a year ago, and that those have all been consistent with the surrounding area and with the policies in the comprehensive plan to promote infill in appropriate areas, supporting the investment in the central planning district as well. But Planning Commission staff, based on the surrounding areas, the language on the regional mixed use 100 within the comprehensive plan, and the development pattern finds that the urban mixed use 60 is more appropriate here. It is compatible with the surrounding area, and it already furthers those policies. So the Planning Commission staff has found this inconsistent. It does not believe that an increase to the regional mixed use 100 would be appropriate in this area and would in fact be inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. And that concludes my presentation. I know Frank is here from the city if commissioners have any questions on the city's recommendation, and I'm available for questions.
All with the city staff. The city staff has objections as requested based on the historical development pattern in the area. Excuse me. The location subject site, staff believes is in transition. As mentioned, RMU 100, the land use category is not the best is not in the best interest of the area. Technically, as mentioned before, given the site size of approximately 1.78 acres, this would allow a maximum of 271,000 square feet, and that would technically be have an allowable height of 24 stories, which is inconsistent with the area. If you have any further questions, I'm available. I'm available.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation for this item?
Yes, I do. Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, good evening. Again, it's Michael Horner for the record, 14502 Northdale Mabry, representing the owner and applicant of this comp plan amendment to RMU 100. Commissioners, this initial slide should have been much larger. For some reason it reduced, but if you could just go to page 2 and review that same table in your staff report. This notes the difference between the UMU 60 and the RMU 100. We are currently UMU 60. We are seeking the RMU 100. The UMU 60 allows up to 106 dwelling units. The RMU 100 allows up to 178 dwelling units. We are seeking 168 units. So we believe we fall 4 square within the RMU 100 development parameters. Secondly, if you look at the second line on your page 2 of the staff report, maximum floor area ratio, 3.25 is permitted in the UMU 60, 3.5 is permitted in the RMU. The difference is we negate the need for arterial access for a 2-use plan. And in fact, the square footage that we are proposing is about 253,000 square feet. We are not at the 3.5 FAR, which is a little bit higher square footage. Again, 4 square within that level of intensity. The FAR, in terms of the typical non-residential use, commissioners, this just gives you a context regarding 2 different categories. The staff viewed at 7 sites, an average FAR in UMU 60 of about 0.48. Again, that's non-residential, but it just gives you a context for building mass and coverage. Under RMU, it doubles to at least 0.83. And of course, we are much higher than that. So we are more geared to the RMU 100 than certainly the UMU 60. I would just note on the following for the range of allowable uses, particularly the access requirement. Jennifer is correct when she noted that this is due to the intensity allowable of these uses. Lands designated RMU 100 should have significant vehicular access or be in close proximity to major transportation facilities. Once again, we are surrounded by major transportation facilities. I would suggest to the commissioners that there is no direct driveway access requirement to a collector or arterial designated roadway. That is another reason why we think the RMU 100 is earmarked for our type of development being proposed, which is 100% residential student housing for the University of Tampa. Next slide, please. As Jennifer showed in her staff report, this does show our 1.78 acres. We are due west of the University of Tampa campus. Again, this parcel, this plan is earmarked 100% for University of Tampa student housing. I heard the school board impacts. We will have no problem having accommodation for these school children, these kids, these students, because we are related and being constructed solely for their housing accommodations, which the University of Tampa is certainly encouraging. We are next to the CSX Railroad. However, under your CPA 21 this evening, we are now aware that this is a separate fee simple acquired right-of-way parcel for a separate private sector development. We did not have that in place when we filed our initial UMU 60 over a year ago. We now realize that that direct access to the campus and the future rails to trails may be somewhat impeded. This application was also concurrent with a right-of-way vacation for South B Street, which is on the south side of our property. That is no longer possible because of that pending CPA and PD zoning to the east along the CSX right-of-way. So while we are not pleased, we didn't feel it was appropriate for us to oppose that comp plan amendment this evening. Next slide, please. Commissioners, again, the blue is the University of Tampa. It is a semi-public use. And I would suggest to you, if there is ever a regional mixed use, commissioners, it is the University of Tampa. If it was not an educational institution, it would be RMU 100 or higher, perhaps even CBD. University of Tampa has over 110 acres, has over 60 buildings, has enrollment just under 10,000 students, and over 550 faculty members. I can assure you, if we approach the City of Tampa staff and said we are thinking about a private sector development, we're going to take down approximately 110 acres close to the CBD, have 110 acres, going to have 60 buildings, we're going to have middle managers of at least 550 to 600, and we're going to have a regional operation opportunity that draws from both the region and the state, and in this case, the country. I don't think the staff would be looking for UMU 60. My point is simply this. We believe that if that was not the school designation as a public, semi-public, it would be an RMU 100 minimum. And you can see to the northeast that RMU continues upwards at North Boulevard and Cass, and then south North Boulevard and Kennedy. So we believe we are a logical extension of that intensive classification from the University of Tampa West. If that was not a school, I can assure you that would be at least an RMU 100. So I don't want to get hung up on colors on a map. I'm trying to convey coverage, intensity, massing, and real world influences and real world conditions on site and on the abutting site. And we are clearly influenced by the University of Tampa. Next slide, please. Again, I apologize for this. This is page 26 of your staff report. It simply states the future land use category allows for consideration of a maximum of 3.5 FAR. Given the site is approximately 1.78 acres, this would allow for a building of 271,000 square feet. With an RMU 100 density, a total of 178 dwelling units could be developed. Commissioners, this is exactly what we are proposing, except we are under that 3.5. We are at 3.25 floor area ratio. Next slide, please. We have committed to a detailed PD site plan. This plan was filed in conjunction with this RMU 100. We did not have the site plan developed when we agreed to the UMU 60. I represented the property owner who owns the Lucky Dog Care Center there on that property, Hamilton Engineering. We went through that entire UMU 60. It made sense, seemed to be reasonable, seemed to fit all of our projected needs. And then the property had a letter of intent. We sat down with that design team. On the last night of the hearing of the UMU 60 adoption, one of the city councilmen said, Mr. Horner, why are you not asking for RMU 100? Of course, I indicated we would love to have RMU 100 because we've already had our design charrettes, and we realized very quickly with these student housing units, it's not the unit count, it is the square footage. These are larger bedroom units, 4 or 5 bedroom pods for these students, and they have a common dining kitchenette area. So our square footage is much higher, even though the overall unit count is lower. So at 168 units, we have almost 576 student housing beds. That's what's driving this FAR. So that site plan was developed. We realized very quickly that we could not accommodate that in the UMU 60 without trying to push a square peg through a round hole. We had to go through a separate hearing process, separate notice, a separate developer agreement. It would probably take us for another month and a half to get through and continue to a January hearing. We're under a tight time constraint to get this built for the University of Tampa students next year. And we immediately filed that RMU 100, and it's tracking concurrently with this PD rezoning to City Council on December 10th. So both the RMU 100 CPA and our PD rezoning will go to Council on December 10th. You can see the relationship. This is a planned view. We have a 2-story parking garage. We have a retail component that's on the north side at Fig Street. We have ingress and egress to Newport. We have a lobby center at the corner of Fig and Newport, and we have circulation systems throughout. Next slide, please. This is an elevation, commissioners, of the proposed building. This is approximately 8 stories. We will have 2-story parking base. These are all of record. These have been filed with the city of Tampa. This is what the city is reviewing right now. And then we will have 6 stories of units above the 2-story base. Total height is about 88 feet, which is around 8 stories. We're providing for every regulatory criteria under that PD rezoning. This is binding. This is a plan that we have filed and we have to abide by with second reading, hopefully scheduled later in December. The architectural elements are taken from a long review of design charrettes. We've looked at a number of buildings throughout the country. This is the format, the building style, and the articulation of the building materials and units that we think serves this area best. We need that square footage, commissioners. Next slide, please. So as part of that review, again, we are where that arrow is pointing. We are west, and we have noted the corridors. We have the Cass Street corridor. We have the Willow corridor to the west. We certainly have, which goes right to the Crosstown Expressway. While we have local streets directly abutting, we are within a 5-minute walk or a 1-minute drive to 3 to 4 arterial collector roadways. That is why it's important under the RMU 100 that we have to be in close proximity to those facilities. Again, it does not mandate direct access to a collector or arterial. Next slide, please. This is a little bit close up. You can see the University of Tampa to the east side. Again, you can see how the local street network is laid out in a grid pattern around this site. You can see the big blue arrow. The sole purpose of this project is for University of Tampa. I would note that the triangle directly to the north, northeast of our site has already gone through a plan amendment and a PD rezoning a year ago before Tampa City Council. That is for a 7-story apartment building under Wingspan Development. The name change has been amended perhaps by a recent closing, but that project was approved for 77 feet in height and 177 units. Interestingly, it's about the same exact size as our property. So you have a 7-story building with 177 units. We have the same exact size property, 1.78 acres, and we are asking for 168 units. Why the difference? Because those student housing pods are much larger in square footage, and that's what's allowing the 576 beds. I heard Mr. Hall talk about they don't want 22-story buildings, 1 million square feet. You know, I see the report from the Planning Commission. I can assure you, we have no interest. Anybody that's thinking about doing a 10, 12, 15, 22-story building should be in West Shore or downtown CBD. We are not proposing non-residential except for a small 1,500 square foot retail. For sundry items, we have multimodal transportation available for bike rentals and scooters and bikes. We think this is an appropriate location directly in close connection to University of Tampa. Ultimately, we'd love to have that future access, multimodal access for the future transit station, rails to trails, and allow direct connectivity to the campus itself. That still remains in the future. I was somewhat dismayed by Mr. Sykes' presentation this evening earlier that said they're not really sure, they don't have the details, but they'll be working that out later. We think that's a critical component and one of the primary reasons, quite honestly, that my clients purchase this property and file these plans. Next slide, please. So again, student housing is critical. We have gone through all of our reviews, architectural details. We have sat down with City of Tampa staff for the last 6 months. We believe this is an opportunity for plan development zoning under the maximum allowable FAR in the RMU 100 that doesn't require special action, doesn't require direct access to arterial highways, and allow for just student housing that is a strong demonstrated need within close proximity to a number of collector and arterial roadways. Next slide, please. This is only a Form base model. This was one of the initial charrettes that we looked at. Obviously, this is not the building elevation I just showed you, but it shows where we have those 6-story units above the 2-story base. We are looking directly southeast to the campus of the University of Tampa. We have our access, we have our circulation plan, we have our retail in the pink there on Fig Street. We have our loading areas on Newport. We think this meets the requirements for student housing. We would love to agree to a smaller building. Unfortunately, we are unable to do so and believe the RMU 100 is earmarked for this type of level of intensity. Next slide, please. Whoops, should have been one more slide on the RMU. Sent that earlier, maybe they did not include it. Commissioners, let me just conclude. There we go, final map. Again, we are the small yellow triangle, commissioners, to the west. The large blue, again, is the public, semi-public designation of the University of Tampa that we are directly adjacent to the west. The RMU 100 is directly north of the campus. The RMU 100 is directly south of the campus. And we think if that campus was not an educational facility and it had that same level of intensity, coverage, and FAR and regional draw, it would certainly not be an UMU 60 or a CMU 35. It would most likely be at least an RMU 100. So we are feeding off that land use appropriateness. We do have collector and arterial access in close proximity. We hope to be under construction by the end of next year. This is a development that has been reviewed with staff. We recognize that we have some opposition, and we'll be happy to address those concerns later. Thank you for your time, commissioners.
Thank you. All right, at this point, we will open it up to public comment, and I have a couple people on the list tonight. I'd like to remind everybody that you have 3 minutes apiece to enter your comments. First person I will call on, I'll just go in order of the list I was given here. I have a John Raymond.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm John Raymond. I am a new homeowner and resident to the neighborhood. I live about a block from this proposed development. First, I would just like to say I agree with the Planning Commission's recommendation of denial for the rezone, because as it's not consistent with the regional mixed use, nor is it consistent with the Imagine 2040 plan. I am pro-development for this area. However, the community is surrounded by 2- and 4-story buildings. The 8-story building will be a bit of a sty within the neighborhood. The development immediately to the north is actually 6 stories with a rooftop amenity. So we'll not have the same mass of this project. I'd like to note the developer is not a partner or affiliated with the University of Tampa in discussions there. So this is a separate third-party project. And also from the argument of the density of the university versus the density of this neighborhood, the CSX rail line delineates the change in the neighborhood and the density from the university. So with that separation, there's a blend back into the residential uses of this neighborhood, immediately adjacent to Willow Avenue as well. And then also I'd like to note a change to the regional mixed-use zoning would eliminate the need for a payment to and a development agreement with the city of Tampa. Given the existing improvements of the neighborhood, the need for infrastructure is readily apparent, and with the sidewalk and road conditions, and there's also already significant flooding along Willow Avenue. Any avoidance of these improvements will further void the neighborhood and its development, and also is rather unsafe for students to be riding scooters and bikes with the amount of potholes and lacking of sidewalks within the community. That's all.
Thank you. All right, next up on the list, I have Shane O'Connor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you taking the time to hear us out this evening. Really, I'm not going to piggyback too hard off of what John said. I think he pointed out a lot of the key details. If we look a little bit more specifically at certain policy characteristics of Imagine 2020, so I'm looking at 211 as well as 514, which really both spell out in detail that, development projects need to be oriented, integrated, and in scale with the surrounding community. So, to John's point, this project, vanilla building with enclosed non-public green space would nearly double in size anything that's, on this side of the river. Anecdotally, one of the nice things about being here is that you can have a downtown view. And this would be a, significant roadblock to that for people who, like myself, are homeowners here. I'd also like to take a look at LU Objective 6.1, as well as a couple of those further down the road. I won't be too repetitive, but these projects are supposed to incorporate a broader mix of uses, to meet demand for retail and services. Like John said, most of us who live here, we're definitely pro-development. We'd love to see the neighborhood get revitalized, but another exclusively residential asset would not really do a whole lot for, what we're missing here in this part of the neighborhood. And then parting shot, I'd like to, address that we've gone and confirmed with the University of Tampa, there is no affiliation with this project, according to, the sources that we have. And anecdotally comparing, improved Cass Street and then what Kennedy is now in terms of transit and arterial abilities to the side streets that are currently in that area paved with brick and again flood at the drop of a hat is really not a valid comparison. And, if you extend this up to an RMU 100, where that requirement to pay additional money to the city that might go and help improve this area, I think would just be to the long-term detriment of the area as a whole. So that's all I have. Thank you again for time this evening.
Barker.
Hello, my name is Jimmy Barker, and I'll keep this very short as I'm in agreement with John and Shane. I've lived in a home in this neighborhood 2 to 3 blocks west of the subject property for a total of about 6 years now. I lived on Rome Avenue for about 5 years and Oregon Avenue for a year. And I agree with Planning Commission's assessment that this development is not consistent with the comp plan. And as a resident of the neighborhood for 6 years now, I do not support the proposed future of the subject property. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have a Cynthia Maloney.
Hi, everybody. This is Cynthia Maloney. I live with my husband at 1332 West Big Street, and I am calling in to ask the commission to deny the application as submitted on the basis of it being just too big, too many units, and too tall. Our neighborhood is pretty cool. It's very diverse. There is a core of single-family homes that have been historically, here forever, and the families that live in them still live here. There's a lot, and every day more new homes, new apartments, lots of density coming our way. And then there are also these businesses that are essential to, to have in proximity to the city where, you've got air conditioning guys and just a whole lot of different important businesses that employ a lot of people and that are permitted here in this neighborhood. So I think the real concern that I have, I'm not anti-development by any stretch of the imagination. My husband's a developer. I've been involved in many development projects in Chicago, but it's not the number of units, it's the number of beds. When you think about how each student at that school who has a car, who is likely, shopping for himself or, it's just, it's 576, like if you would never consider putting 576 units on the property, but that's the effect, that's the net effect on the neighborhood that all those additional people are going to have. When we now, as I said, there's a lot of development going on and it's all good and we're excited about it. There's a new building that's, planned by the hospital that's in our neighborhood. There's two large apartment buildings that are already coming out of the ground, and many other projects that are being planned right now for this neighborhood. I just would ask the Planning Commission to please represent all the stakeholders in the neighborhood, the small businesses, the historic single-family homeowners, and all of the new people who are trying to, build and have invested so much of their time and money and effort into building this neighborhood. So I thank you for your findings. I appreciate your findings, and I hope that the commission will tonight vote to deny this application based on its ridiculous size. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, I have a Justin Dalton.
Hi, thank you. This is Justin Dalton. I also would recommend to deny this application. A few points here I want to hit. Should this rezoning be approved, it would set a precedent that would be irreversible for the area. The tower, to me, doesn't add any value to us in the neighborhood of North Hyde Park, but it will only consume our resources. We all kind of know what it feels like to have all the students around us all the time. There are 2 to 3 other large projects. None of them are even close to the size of this. The biggest I could find is Savannah Square, 277 beds. This again is 576. We have another one going in just a couple of blocks away. Another mixed use. It's called Jade at North Hyde Park. It's about 190 units, and I'm sure as all the residents in North Hyde Park know, it's shutting down our roadways as they're staging materials to build it, and it's a big nuisance, and this is going to be much bigger than this. And that I think is around 5 stories high. This is going to be 8. I've done some research today. I haven't been able to find another building in higher education that is close to this 8 stories. The closest I can find is at University of South Florida, and it's 7 stories. Maybe Commissioner Green knows of a higher one at USF, but that's the highest I could find. And it's an actual teaching building. This is just a student housing building. To me, it doesn't align with any of the city strategy, the river walk and all that we're trying to do and connecting Cass to downtown. This to me doesn't align with any of that. And it kind of comes down to me as a question, is this a playground for the private school students or a travel destination and a desirable place for families to relocate, which I think it is. Additionally, kind of going off of what Cynthia had echoed with the traffic piece, in the report, they say about 177 daily trips per day to and from this location, or 1,700, sorry, let me repeat that. 1,777 daily trips per day to and from this location. Do you know what the last census, the last census number of residents for North Hyde Park was? 1,770. So we're going to see more trips in and out of this one location than all of North Hyde Park, number of residents. So to me, that's just, it doesn't make sense. And if you look at the pictures, if you go back to the original presentation, you can see the roads. They're not fit for 1,700 trips. The connectors or aggregators, I forget what the term was, they're getting there, but the roads that get them there are not that. They're unpaved, they're potholes, they're in bad condition. There's no way that would work. So I think that's all that I had to say. Thank you guys for hearing me out.
Thank you, Justin. Next up, I have a Jonathan Arellano.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time today. I'll keep it short and simple. I agree with my fellow neighbors in the point of view that I think that this particular project will be a detriment to the character of the neighborhood, really falling on a burden for all the homeowners and those that live and call North Hyde Park home. So I will urge the Planning Commission to please deny this particular project, as we all call this place home and would love to continue loving our neighborhood and seeing it grow the appropriate way. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Joshua Haddad.
Yeah, hi. My name is Joshua Haddad. So I agree with what everyone here has said so far. John, Shane, Jimmy, Cynthia, Justin, and Jonathan. I think this is going to have a huge negative impact on the area nearby. As recent homeowners, we've just moved in onto a unit on Oregon Street, so it's only about a block away between Fig and Gray Street. It's clear that this is going to have a huge impact on the neighborhood, not just visually, although visually it is a problem. At 8 to 9 stories, that is a huge eyesore in the neighborhood. Everything else here is only 1 to 2 stories high, barring the 3 to 4 story apartment residences all nearby. But I also think it's going to impact the historic character and just the general neighborhood. The feeling here is quite unique. It is quite diverse. And I think this will be a sort of insular development project, which does not really fit the character of the neighborhood. It's also going to have a huge impact on all of the infrastructure. There was no talk of sort of the infrastructure or elements that would be included to make this area sort of work for this large building project. The roadways, as it's already been mentioned, are sort of swelling as it is. Even with all of the development, there's just not enough to sort of accommodate for the number of cars and people that you're trying to include here. As a number of other people have said, I don't really have an issue with the idea of development or density per se, but I think the way it's being done here is wholly out of character for the neighborhood and would really prove problematic. There's no sort of public amenities being offered at the ground level. I think it just turns us back onto the community, and I see this as being a real problem. So yeah, I reject this as well.
Thank you. All right, last up, I have a John Owen Davis.
Yes, hi, this is John Davis. I'd like to echo the opinion of my neighbors. I am against this proposal. It is not consistent with the neighborhood. Moreover, in listening to the talk throughout this meeting tonight, calling Willow and Cass Street arteries is laughable at best. As commissioners, you keep approving dense projects in the city, and there is no effort being made to increase infrastructure. There's no effort being made to widen the roads, let alone the fact that Willow Street is a brick road, 1 lane in each direction, that floods every time it rains. There are no sidewalks. It is just a dangerous place to put students, frankly. But moreover, it's just really irresponsible to do this to a neighborhood that's really not even appropriate for this kind of development. So I am against this 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that looks like the last person we had signed up for public comments, so I will turn it back over to the applicant for a 3-minute rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Michael Horner for the record. Well, I sure wish we had an opportunity to have reviewed our plans with these neighbors. Unfortunately, our notices went out just this week. We have made this a public filing and it has gone live on Excella. We've been in this process for months. So we certainly were willing and able to sit down with any neighbor and discuss these items. I appreciate the fact that they are new homeowners. They want to maintain the character of their neighborhood. And there is a neighborhood here. It is a diverse neighborhood, but it is a neighborhood nonetheless. And I commend them, those who are investing 2-3 blocks west, and that is going to be probably their major investment for their lifetime. We don't want to disrupt that character. We are trying to meet a need that's been demonstrated in the marketplace. We certainly have to go through a litany and an arduous process on site review, engineering, geotech, soil borings, road improvements, landscape review. We're right in the middle right now of going through those assessments as we speak. So I appreciate those comments. Whether we are 6 stories or 8 stories, I think that lies within the design of the building and what they feel, the developer feels they have to make this a reasonable project that fills that demand for the University of Tampa. I do not want to represent, and I hope I did not, that we are in partnership with the University of Tampa. We are not. We have certainly discussed with them what our plans were, and they certainly were in support. but I do not want to indicate that we have any formal relationship with the University of Tampa. That being said, the UMU 60 does allow the same 3.25 FAR. It presents a few additional constraints that we'll have to work through. So it's not whether it's the RMU 100 or the UMU 60, we essentially can achieve the same FAR, but it is a little bit more streamlined for us to proceed with the RMU 100, and it negates the need for that arterial collector requirement. There are road improvements out there. I don't mean to represent that Willow Avenue is a high-speed collector. I drive that road a lot. It is brick, it is slow, but it does have through traffic connectivity. Those streets are considered collectors because they take traffic from a residential neighborhood and distribute it to the arterial network. And in this case of Willow, connects it to the Selman Expressway. Cass Street improvement is just 200 feet to our north. And that is just the recently completed green spine that runs east-west, directly connects to North Boulevard. Those improvements have just been completed. I don't know if it's finally striped, but the median is in place in the bike lanes. Regarding traffic, those trip estimates are just that. And I can assure you, we were not even close to those estimates. These kids will be riding bikes, scooters, and other multi-modes, as well as walking. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. All right, I will open it up to the commissioners at this point in time for comments on this item, discussion, questions perhaps. Commissioner Marino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a few questions, and I guess the first point I'll start with, and the applicant cleared it up with the student housing question and the connection to University of Tampa, but I guess my question related to that is, how is a development meant to be for students if it's not connected to the University of Tampa? How do you limit the tenants to only students?
May I answer, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, you can answer.
Thank you. Commissioner Moreno, thank you for that question. These will be under strict lease commitments. Those leases will be signed by both the students and the parents. There has to be registration with the university itself. So that is something that is earmarked and restricted and highly regulated. This is not a market rate student housing. It's not going to be a loft house for people who are looking for interim housing. The market rate development is Wingspan to the northeast. We are solely 100% for the University of Tampa students.
So then a student at USF Medical School would not be eligible to live here?
Would have to look at the structure of that lease. It is student housing. So I think the developer may be willing to consider a bona fide student that is enrolled in a curriculum and as part of that higher education learning. This is earmarked obviously by the location for University of Tampa students. So I'm going to leave that one undetermined, but would still be restricted to 100% students.
And then I personally, I heard some of the comments about size. From what I could tell, at least what you proposed or what was shown in the slide, isn't really any different in terms of scale than what's already on UT's campus in terms of dorms. I think they're 9, 10, 11 stories already, some of them. And this is either a question for the applicant or staff. This is, am I correct in that this is in the West Tampa CRA?
It's in the West. Go ahead.
Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission. I can double check. I believe it is, but I can certainly double check that information for you.
Because if it's in the West Tampa CRA, it would have to sort of match the look and feel of historic West Tampa. Is that correct?
But actually, probably, yes, Frank, I would let Frank answer that question. He'd be more of an expert than I am.
It is in the CRA, and they would have to meet the design requirements, correct?
And Mr. Hall, just to follow up on that then, is there in the city's effort, in considering this, was there any thought given to the West Tampa CRA strategic plan in terms of providing additional housing options, or, making that connection between where UT is and where the future TGH facility is going to be, a block over?
Forgive me, can you clarify? I'm not sure what you're trying to get at there.
So I was going through the West Tampa CRA strategic action plan, and it just kind of makes general statements about adding additional housing, fostering infill. There is a policy in our documentation. I think it's 351 and 352 about providing, making this sort of educational healthcare hub there. So, was there any thought given, in looking at the transportation aspect, that this whole neighborhood is actually meant to start turning over in terms of having this, educational healthcare hub, especially right there, that, in future infrastructure improvements, that the infrastructure is going or has to be there based on the development that is primed up and the strategic plan for the West Tampa CRA?
Not specifically, no. Those are guidelines, and we haven't called out specific areas for more concentrated use. So no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Marino. Was there any more discussion or any more comments from commissioners on this item? I don't see anybody on the WebEx with their hands up. Seeing no lights, we'll go on ahead and close the public comment section and open it up for motions for this item. Commissioner Marino?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we find this consistent with the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, Imagine 2040, based on the following: land use policy 2.1 and 2.11, which is encourage compact higher density development in capacity with its surrounding character. Policy 2.1.2, use limited land resource more efficiently and pursue a development pattern that is more economically sound by encouraging infill development on vacant, unutilized sites. Policy 351, support the formation and growth in an area west of the Hillsborough River as a medical education district that leverages the demands and opportunities of the University of Tampa, Tampa General, and redeveloping areas in North Hyde Park area. 352, create a new mixed-use residential community along the western edge of the Hillsborough River in New Tampa, reposition with enhanced schools, open space, connected streets, and community services. And then policy 514, development projects in urban villages must be oriented, integrated, and scale to surrounding community. Policy 6110, promote densities, mixed uses, and transportation improvements that support walking, use of public transportation. And the last one, 941, encourage higher density multifamily development, pedestrian-oriented urban areas with access to transit, broad range services, and amenities, and access to employment, to encourage housing development of medium to large scale with heights greater than these in low-rise areas, accommodate large-scale structures while maintaining the livability of these communities, including measures which minimize the risk, which minimize the appearance of bulk, or promote high-density residential development, business centers, and urban villages.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Marino. Do I have a second by Commissioner Powell? A motion of consistency by Commissioner Marino stating land use policies 2.1.1, 2.1.2, 3.5.1, 3.5.2, 5.1.4, 6.1.10, 9.4.1. And a second by Commissioner Powell. Do we have any more discussion on this motion before us? Item before us? Nope. All right. Oh, Commissioner Dix, did you? Nope. I'll ask the clerk to take a roll call vote on this item then.
Joseph?
No.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Cardenas,
No.
Dix,
No.
Dowdy,
Yes.
Marino,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Green,
No.
Kress,
Yes.
motion carried 5-4. Commissioners Joseph, Cardenas, Dix, and Green voted no.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next agenda item, TACPA 20-25, and the presenter is Danny Collins.
Everybody see my screen? Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. This is Danny Collins with your Planning Commission staff. This is Tampa Comprehensive Plan Map Amendments 2025 through 2029 and also 2031. This is our ongoing parks plan amendments. Here is a locational map of the 6 parks that are scattered throughout the city. You'll notice New Trail Parkway, which was presented at the briefing, was withdrawn from by the city. So we'll just take a look at 6 parks today. Quick background of the request. This is a publicly initiated request by Tampa City Council to recognize existing City of Tampa parks. Each park is listed on the City of Tampa's dedicated park list, and all sites would be recognized through the Recreation Open Space Future Land Use designation. The Planning Commission staff conducted a review of the request and found it consistent with the Recreation Open Space and Opportunities sections of the plan. Our first park is TACPA 2025. It's Clifton-Dixon Tennis Complex. It's in the South Tampa Planning District, and more specifically, it's within the Palmacia West neighborhood. Here is an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. You'll see the subject sites outlined in this purple color. The surrounding area is predominantly residential. There are baseball fields merely adjacent to the east of the subject site. This is an image looking west of the subject site from South Grady Avenue. This is looking north of the subject site from West Watchers Avenue. This is looking at the adjacent parcel to the east of the subject site from West Watchers Avenue. Here is the adopted future land use map. Currently, the subject site's under the residential 10 future land use designation. It's surrounded by that residential town on all sides. Up 1 block to the north, you'll see residential 35, and then this yellow to the northwest of the subject site represents the residential 6. This is the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space designation. This is a map showing the potential impacts of the request. This would remove the potential of residential and non-residential development from the subject site. Based on our analysis, Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the City of Tampa comprehensive plan, and I'm available for any questions.
I don't have anyone. Well, let me just make sure the city doesn't have a presentation for this one.
I call with the city. At this point, we do not have a presentation.
Thank you. All right, I'll open it up to commissioners for questions or comments on this item. Seeing no hands raised, I will ask the court to go ahead and take a roll call. Oh, sorry, open it up to motions on this item. Commissioner Bernstein, please go ahead.
I would move, Mr. Chair, that we find Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment 20-25 consistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Second the motion.
All right, I have
Second
a
the
motion for consistency by Commissioner Bernstein and a second by Commissioner Dix. Any comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote. Did you?
Sorry. Mr. Chairman, I can't hear you.
Could you go ahead and please take the roll call vote on this item?
Yes, sir. Joseph.
Yes.
Bernstein.
Yes.
Cardenas.
Yes.
Dix.
Yes.
Dowdy.
Yes.
Marina. Commissioner Marina.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Kress.
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Next up, we have TACPA 20-26. Again, Mr. Collins.
The Planning Commission staff, this is TACPA 2026. It's Vermont Lanier Park. It's in the Central Tampa Planning District, and more specifically, it's an Old West Tampa neighborhood. Here is the subject site. It's outlined in the purple color. It consists of 5 parcels along North Fremont Avenue. The surrounding area is predominantly residential in character. This is North Rome, just to the 1 block to the east of the subject site. And then this is North Fremont Avenue, where the parcels are located along. This is looking at the subject site from North Fremont Avenue. This is looking east along West Pine Avenue, just to give you an idea of the surrounding area. The subject site would be out of frame to the left. This another image is kind of giving you a better idea of the surrounding area. This is standing on the subject site looking south across West Pine Avenue. Here's the adopted future land use map. All the parcels are within that residential 35 future land use designation. There is some light industrial in the vicinity of the subject site to the southeast and also to the northwest, represented by this gray color. This is the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space designation. Again, this would remove the potential of residential and non-residential development from the subject site. Based on those considerations, the Planning Commission staff finds TACPA 2026 consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. That concludes my presentation.
I have no one signed up for this one either, so assuming there's no presentation from the city, I will open it up to the commissioners. Comments, questions on this item? Seeing none. I will go ahead and close the public comment section, and I'll entertain a motion from the commissioners. Commissioner Bernstein.
I would move that we find Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment 20-26 consistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Second the motion.
I have a motion of consistency by Commissioner Bernstein, a second by Commissioner Dix. Is there any more discussion on this item from the commissioners? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote on this item.
Joseph.
Yes.
Bernstein.
Yes.
Cardenas.
Yes.
Dix.
Yes.
Dowdy.
Yes.
Marina.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes. Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Kress.
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
You. Next item up is TACPA 20-27. Again, Mr. Collins, to you.
Present for your planning commission staff, this is TACPA 2027. The next park is Seminole Heights Garden Center. It's in the Central Tampa Planning District. It's also within the old Seminole Heights neighborhood. Here's an aerial map of the subject site and surrounding properties. Subject site's outlined as purple color. The site's surrounded by predominantly residential development. This is East Henry Avenue. This is North Central Avenue. And then this is Interstate 275, a couple blocks to the east of the subject site. This is looking south of the subject site from East Clifton Avenue. This is looking south along North Central Avenue. The subject site would be out of our frame to the right. This is looking north of the subject site from East Henry. This is the adopted future land use map. It's currently under the residential 10 future land use designation. It's surrounded by that residential 10 on all sides. A couple blocks to the west of the subject site is CC 35, represented by this red color. Here is the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space category. Again, this would remove the potential of residential and non-residential development from the subject site. Based on those considerations, the Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment TACPA 2027 be found consistent with the City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. All right, seeing no one signed up for this one, I will go on ahead and open it up to the commissioners for comments or questions on this item. All right, seeing none here or virtually, I will close the public comment section and entertain a motion from the commissioners. Commissioner Bernstein.
I would move that we find City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment 20-27 consistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
All right, I have a motion for consistency by Commissioner Bernstein, a second by Commissioner Dowdy. Any other discussion from the commissioners on this item? Seeing none here or virtually, I will ask the clerk to do the roll call vote.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein? Commissioner Bernstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Dowdy?
Yes.
Marina?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 2I, TACPA 20-28. Again, Mr. Collins.
Danny Collins with their Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2028. The next park is Loretta Ingram Park. It's in the West Shore Planning District, and more specifically within the Carver City Lincoln Gardens neighborhood. Here's an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. The site's outlined in this purple color. The surrounding area is predominantly residential. There is some light industrial uses along North Lois Avenue, and then to the northwest of the subject site along West Spruce Street. This is looking at the subject site. This is looking south along North Hebert Avenue. The entrance to the park is out of the frame to our left. This is looking north along North Hebert Avenue. The subject site is out of our frame to the right. Here's the adopted future land use map. The subject site is within the residential 10 future land use designation, represented by this tan color. As you move to the north of the subject site on West Spruce Street, you'll see parcels within the regional mixed use 100 category, and also there's parcels on the east side of North Lois within that RMU 100 category. Here is the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space category. This would remove the potential 35 dwelling units from the site, or just under 55,000 square feet of non-residential development. Based on our analysis, the Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment to ACPA 2028 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Again, we don't have anyone signed up for public comments on this one, so I will go on ahead and open it up to the commissioners for comments or questions. Seeing none in here and seeing no hands virtually, I will close public comment and entertain a motion. Commissioner Bernstein.
I would move that we find City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment 20-28 consistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
I'd second that.
All right, I have a motion for consistency by Commissioner Bernstein, second by Commissioner Dix. Is there any more discussion from the commissioners on this item? Seeing none here or virtually, I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote on this item.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Dowdy?
Yes.
Marina?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you very much. Next item, 2J TACPA 20-29. Mr. Collins, NES Company this time, it looks like. Nathan.
I will be presenting solo on this item. This is Danny Collins with the Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2029. It's like Gaslight Square Park. It's in the Central Tampa Planning District. It's also within the Central Business District and within the Downtown River Arts neighborhood. Here's an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. Subject site's outlined in this purple color. This is Curtis Hickson Park, just to the west of the subject site. The subject site's located on East Kennedy Boulevard and to the northeast Madison Street. This is standing within the park looking north. This is looking northwest at the park from the intersection of North Franklin Avenue and West Kennedy Boulevard. This is looking at the subject site from West Kennedy Boulevard. This is the adopted future land use map. The subject site's currently under the Central Business District designation. It's surrounded by that CBD on all sides. There are some RMU 100s just to the southwest of the subject site. And then this blue is representative of public parcels under the public, semi-public designation. Here's the proposed future land use map showing the subject site under the recreation open space category. The request would remove the potential of residential and non-residential development from the subject site. Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment TACPA 2029 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. All right, we don't have anyone signed up for this one either, so I will open it up to questions and comments from the commissioners on this item. Seeing none in here and no hands raised online, I will close public comment and open it up for motions. Commissioner Bernstein.
I would move that we find Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment 20-29 in connection with one of my personal favorite parks, like Gaslight Square Park, consistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Mr. Chairman, this is a tough one, but I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Dix. I have a motion for consistency finding from Commissioner Bernstein and a second from Commissioner Dix. Is there any more questions or conversations on this item from the commissioners? Seeing none, seeing no hands online, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and call a roll call vote for this item.
Joseph?
Yes.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Dix?
Yes.
Dowdy?
Yes.
Marina?
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Kress.
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have 2K TACPA 20-31. Again to you, Mr. Collins.
Danny Collins with the Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2031. Our last park is Palmacy Alliance Park. It's in the South Tampa Planning District, and more specifically in the Gaming Sunbay South neighborhood. Here is an aerial map of the subject site and the surrounding properties. It's outlined in this purple color. The surrounding area is predominantly residential in character. This is looking at the subject site from West Pearl Avenue. Standing within the park and looking north. This is standing within the park and looking east. Here is the adopted future land use map. You'll see the majority of the sites already within that recreation open space category. This northern portion of the site is within the residential 10 future land use designation. It's surrounded by that residential 10 on all sides. There is some CMU 35 just to the southwest of the subject site. Here is the proposed future land use map showing the subject sites entirely under their recreation open space category. This is a slide showing potential impacts of the proposed request. This removed the potential of one residential dwelling unit or just over 2,700 square feet of non-residential development from the subject site. The Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment TACPA 2031 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. We don't have anyone from the public signed up for this one, so I will go on ahead and open it up to the commissioners for comments, discussion. This one, not seeing any here. Not seeing any hands being raised virtually. I will open it up for a motion, and I see a light. Nope. Just went out. I see a light from Commissioner Bernstein over there.
Yeah, I want to make it a clean sweep, so I'm going to move that we find City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment 20-31 consistent with the policies and objectives of the City of Tampa Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a motion for consistency by Commissioner Bernstein, a second by Commissioner Dix. Is there any more discussion on this item from anyone? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to take a roll call vote on this item.
Joseph,
Yes.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Cardenas,
Yes.
Dix,
Yes.
Dowdy,
Yes.
Marino,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Kress.
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Thank you very much. That was the last item on our agenda. I would like to thank everybody who was with us here, our commissioners for coming in, being here in person, everybody who was with us virtually. Thank you for bearing with us through all the pangs we've gone through. Thank you to all the staff for being prepared and being able to work through all the things we've been dealing with. Thank you to HTV for helping us all get prepared for this transition back to meeting in person. And I would just like to thank you all for joining us in the public. Everybody have a great night. This meeting's adjourned. Phew, you were in line. I remember.